Welcome everybody to this, the WPT500 knockout final table. I'm of course James Dempsey, joined by my main man, Jeff Gross. How are we doing, Jeff?
Good, man. Ready for fast-paced, big action. This is a knockout, large event, WPT500, so about as fun as it gets. These knockout tournaments becoming so prevalent online. Great to see World Poker Tour, Party Poker, putting on a fun event, big prize pool, way over the guarantee, so it's really nice. It's going to be fun final table day.
Yeah, this one smashed it, Jeff. I was kind of looking at the tournament before we came on. Obviously, we had the WPT500 last week, the vanilla, as they like to say, just the regular prize pool. But this one, far exceeding it in numbers of players. $1.3 million prize pool for this $500 tournament. I think if we take a look at the tournament info, we'll see all this. But yeah, it's just monstrous for a $500 tournament. You see here, of course, with that, the first prize, $76,000. But Jeff, knockout tournaments, you got to throw the heads-up bounty that goes on there, right? So typically, first prize is going to be a lot bigger than that 76K, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really, it is exciting, and there's a lot of interesting spots. I think in knockout tournaments, it makes it so fun at the final table because ICM, such something you hear about so often, but some things that may not seem right are right, and it's sort of just one of those things where you see extra action. Guys are hunting. You don't know how guys are going to approach it. Will some guys be, going for it? Are some guys sitting back trying to ladder, or are they just going to go hunting and try to pick up a big bounty? So it's one of those newer formats. It's a lot of fun. I think the most fun to play online. I heard you mention last time, James, you've been playing some more knockouts over the pandemic during COVID, and it is fun, man. It's just like one of those things where you're kind of always learning and if you will, guessing a little more than normal, because there's just so many unique situations where something that might not normally be perceived as the right play is the right play with the math and the bounty on the line. So really exciting to watch.
Yeah, always a little difference. And look at that, Jeff. You see the chip counts in here. Armin Razai coming in as the chip leader. David and Benjamin all over 200 mil. But Jeff, some short stacks down the bottom. And as we're just saying, it's a knockout tournament, right? So the short stacks, it's a little bit more precarious than a regular tournament, right? You're going to get called a little bit more lightly as we just head on into the action. We'll see how this goes. I mean, 1.75, 3.5 million blinds. Obviously, pretty deep here. But like I say, we see Sveden here in the big blind with the aces, one of the shorter stacks. Boyka, of course, probably, Jeff, I'm going to say the best known player on this final table. I'd say Alexei Boyka. I don't know if you have many experience with any of the other guys here. Obviously, Armin Razai, relatively well known, had some big cashes, but Boyka.
Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. Benjamin Chalot is known. I know that name for sure. I believe. Are you familiar with him? I feel like we've seen him at another big table here, but he definitely is. Oh,
Jeff! Straight away, we joined the action. There were 8 on the final table, and David, you just say one moment, just rips it from the small 9-6. Sveden in the big blind calls it off with the aces and gets run down straight away.
I mean, that's quite a start to the stream. That's not how you draw it up. You come to the final table, you get aces, you're just hoping for the action, you see a shove, and then you're out. So yeah, be careful what you wish for. Really sick beat there, and a really fortuitous, rewarding the aggressor David L with a big pickup there and a knockout early. Jeez,
right, and yeah, and it's kind of a little bit of what we're saying, I guess, that you're going to jam a little bit wider on those spots against a shorter stack than maybe you normally would, just because, hey, if they do call, I got a chance of winning thousands.
Yeah, wow, that was quite the hand. So we do see a fast and furious start, and now we pick up the action. We got 9s, and we see the button raise versus Armin, who is in with a dead small blind. He's got 2 9s, and these guys have a fairly deep stack versus the field. So it'll be interesting to see what Armin does. He does decide to raise and not call, and gets a bit of a tricky flop.
Yeah, I see. David's raised button. Armin's just flat from the big one, hasn't he? Obviously, the 2 biggest stacks. Armin's just gonna play this pretty cautiously, I think, with any hand here from the big. These two, not too much reason to get involved with each other. Wow, Jeff, what a start. That first hand, 9-6 versus aces. Barely time to catch our breath. But welcome, everyone who's joining us, as always, here for the stream, for this WPT500. If you're coming in just now, you missed a good one to start. We have lots of giveaways going off this evening, guys, as per usual. And we do have a beautiful little free roll taking place over on Party Poker. Starts in an hour and 10 minutes. And guys, that one's password protected. I see you all in the chat screaming for the password. Well, I can tell you it is "We love Jeff," because Jeff, we love you. It's simple as that. It just makes sense.
Man, this is quite. I really, that is nice. That is very flattering. So I appreciate that, and I hope you guys wish you the best in that free roll. That is quite a nice opportunity. So good luck. Are you playing, James, or no? You can't multitask on that. Or you got the table?
Man, I'm in there. Don't you worry about that. I'm in there. I've been messing around. And guys, let me tell you, tonight, obviously, we've been doing these the last few weeks. First prize is a seat to the Irish Open online opener event. That's €530. And then I believe there's another €500 in cash paid out to the remaining places. So it's certainly worth getting in the mix, giving out some of those seats. And Irish Open, of course, online coming up very soon, guys. It's going to be a fun one. Of course, the main event 1K. Plenty of satellites to get involved. Final every Sunday for that. Please do check it out. But we're giving a seat away to the Irish Open Day 1A opener. Bit of a mouthful, but worth winning, guys. Worth winning. Now, Jeff, Armin Rizai here on the button. 8-9 suited. Yeah, it does just rip it in. I thought he might, Jeff. And Jareen's got your hand. The ace queen in the small.
Oh, man. This feels like, wow. Well, just right into it. Here we go. What a flop. Oh my! Straight flush. Come on, ace queen. How can you just always let us down? And man, that would be a hand that we want to plug in. Not because we have so much attention to ace queen, but because that is a really tricky spot with the ICM on the line. I'm actually not sure. What do you think there, James? I mean, you can't fault him, right? Especially if you're playing to win the tournament. You got to believe you have the best hand. Probably dominating, but what do you think there? With the ICM, there's only really one other stack in your position, but man,
Jeff,
what a spot.
We'll come back to it because I think we're about to see another roll in here because Davis got 2 9s. Alexei Boyka is now by far the shortest stack with ace king. Wow. And we're going to see a race run out here, I think, for Boyka, already down to 6 players. Kind of catching our breath, 16,500 guaranteed. Obviously, bounties flying around. We'll get the bounty numbers for you in a second when I can. We're forced into playing catch-up at the start of this final table. It's going lightning fast, but Boyka, of course, with a jam here. And this one, a much more straightforward situation. David Lopez will, of course, be making the call.
Yeah, what do you think on that ace-queen? It's close, but this one is definitely not close. We got to see a race here for a chance to get back in it. Ace-king needs help. Hard to believe he's not going to the best hand. Chip leader raising in the cutoff, but he is going to see the bad news. He's behind. What a flop for 9. He's going to hold. So that is another knockout, man. Wow. Just like that.
Wow.
Down to wow. It's just down to wow. We're going fast. 5 left, just like that for a WPT 500 title. And it's going to be a lot up top. As we mentioned, the knockouts are on top of the prize pool. So you can see generally you expect a little over double. I mean, it should be around 160 grand to first US dollars. So really big ROI on this 500. Again, getting 1.3 million from $1 million guarantee. So really impressive field and big start for the big stacks. They're separating themselves. David L. and Armin, both very healthy leads here.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, I think, 1.3 billion chips in play, Jeff. So we see those two with over 800K between them. And suddenly, I mean, the blinds just crept up 2 million, 4 million, Jeff. But suddenly we're dealing with a very deep final table here. Duff Charette out of nowhere is the shortest stack with over 30 blinds. But yeah, I mean, the ace-queen hand, Jeff, interesting spot because, I mean, Armin rips the button. We're in the small blind and we're one of the 2 shortest stacks, but the big blind is one of those shortest. But, you know, we kind of know final tables with 6 left, 7 left. The jumps aren't too big there. The jump from 7th to 6th was under 5K. I think ace-queen's probably just too strong, Jeff. I think we've got to call it off, but I mean, it's never easy, right? But we just dominate enough, and Armin's going to have hands like that 8-9 suited that, okay, we're probably not loving it to get in against that hand, but we've got enough equity, I think. And also,
I mean,
of
with
course,
style,
Jeff,
though,
bounce
8-9
tournament, right?
suited, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
that's
rips it
true.
off,
But
rips off the straight flush on the
straight
turn.
flush, quite a start. We've seen aces getting cracked, and then we see a straight flush. So you guys got a full action today. We got a lot of collisions, and this has been going quickly. But as you said, becoming a little deeper now as the stacks are consolidating. So we should get to see a lot of play, some deep stack situations, and a little everything.
Yeah, and it's important, Jeff. Like to cool off with the ace queen, because now we double up. Now we cover some players. When we're playing a bounty tournament, you want to cover players when you're playing a bounty tournament. You want to be able to knock people out and pick up those bounties. Speaking of the bounties, Jeff, I'm just looking now with 5 left. I believe David Lopez's bounty's worth about 13 grand. Armin 5, Ben 3.5, and Gus and Duff are both around 2,800. Their bounties, but we'll try and keep tabs on that. Unfortunately, guys, we can't show it on the replayer. You know that by now. But I'll sort of try and keep track of it as we go along. But man, how fast can this go? Count to 5 instantaneously.
Yeah, really quick, and a big hand here for Duff getting kings. Doesn't look like much action, although again with his stack size and the big blind, so many chips and the bounties on the line, you could see some wide defense. 3-5 off is a little out of line, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Really interesting dynamic with the stacks, as we got the 2 big stacks, and then sort of all the remaining 3 players are right in striking distance to each other. So be interesting to see with David L what he goes for here, if he's going to elect to put pressure on the stack. It's really, normally things is definitely a fold, but I could see any option here. I mean, 3-5 off is a little far out there, right? If he 3-bets it, I mean, it would definitely be the situation you could go for with those stack sizes there. But David L hasn't folded yet. Oh, there he does get it up. But
yeah, I'm with you.
Showing he's thinking about it. You can tell he's ready to play, man. David's ready to put the pedal to the metal there. If he's not snap folding the 3-5 off, the wheels are spinning, and I think he's going to be putting some pressure on him.
Jeff, we got ace king and we got jacks, the 2 short stacks, 11-30 blinds deep. We're playing 5-handed. I mean, Gustavo's going to 3-bet and Duff's going to shove. Gustavo's going to call. We're going to be all in surely again. These are quite the setups here so far, right? Absolute madness. Ben's got a nice playable hand, 7-8 suited, but he's going to be sitting this one out. It's going to go raise, and we'll see a re-raise here. He just flats.
Just kidding.
Jeff.
Just kidding.
I was going to say, Duff just covers Gustavo by literally 500 chips, which is obviously very important in these spots if they were to get it in, but just flats, and wow, he's going to potentially get away from a bust out here, Jeff, because it's ace 8 deuce. He's going to have to lose some chips post flop, but I doubt he's going to lose all of them.
Yeah, really interesting, and it just shows you where you think, certain times in a tournament you may be playing one way or think there's only one path out, and in this particular spot you could argue that he should be just looking to 3-bet get it in, but he does go for the more passive line. In this particular scenario, he's gonna get to have a sort of a free roll, if you will, in terms of even maybe a chance to win the pot or just lose less chips. And on this run out, both players not going to be super thrilled with the boards. Ace King's got to feel pretty good, but the heart does complete a possible flush, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, heart rolling off, neither with one, and Duff is forced to check. And Jeff, I guess the jacks are still just good enough to check back. Maybe a really small bet, kind of protect stroke, get value stroke by a showdown against some of those single heart hands, like a king queen with a heart that decides not to double barrel, that most of those would. Does check back. 8 pairs turn doesn't really change too much. I mean, Gustavo shouldn't really have an 8, neither will Duff. I guess Duff's going to go for some value here, and Jeff just questioned whether Gustavo can lay it down, and I'd imagine. I'd like to
I think he can find a fold here, but it's especially on that sizing, goes a little bit bigger, and Gustavo's not going to love it. But in hindsight, he's no matter what, he's going to be losing less chips and maybe even saving a big river call. See what he does here, though, with no heart in his hand, no ace, kind of a tricky one, and he would not be correct if he calls. Let's see what he goes with. He is in the tank. I don't think he's going to call.
I wonder, Jeff, why he didn't go for the 3-bet preflop. Do you think he was trying to lay a trap maybe for David or Armin in the blinds, who might try and squeeze out the 2 shorter stacks? Or do we think it's just a case of didn't want to get jacks in 5-handed? We've got some ladders coming up. I mean,
Yeah, it's always, that's why poker's so fun. I mean, these are the spots where you kind of get to, as the players also are watching, they get to see the cards on delay. They kind of get a feel for who's going for it, who's not, what's happening, what style are they playing, and it's also, you don't really know. Yeah, it could be exactly that. Could think that David's just going to freak out and go nuts. Could also be for that exact reason, doesn't want to get in a flip versus ace queen versus ace king. Of course, you lose out value when your opponent has tens or nines, but you also could get some folds from like a hand like king queen maybe. But also could just be really comfortable with this game, wanting to play post flop, wanting to see, maybe that's what his whole style has been. It's hard to get to a final table with 1,300 players, and whatever our friend Gustavo has been doing, he's been playing very well, obviously, to make it this deep. So another spot where maybe most of us would be busted, and he is still in and has plenty of chips.
Yeah, certainly does. Armin with kings from the small, just going to pop it up 3.5x into Duff, who 40 bigs Jeff suited Jack, says, all right, I've got just enough to have a look at a flop here. Flicks in and the queen 4 rainbow, not the board he was looking for. And
yeah, I mean, you could argue again with the tightness of stacks with the next three, besides the two big leaders, that he could just give this up. But I think the suited Jack a little too good, and also Armin's going to be up to no good. He's going to be raising a wide variety of his range. So I think that Duff just saying, you know what, I'm gonna have worse hands in the spot. Let me peel while I still have some chips, and I get too short and I have to be super ICM aware. So I think don't blame the peel there, and Armin's just going to pick up another one. So it's really, really tight here between the final three. And this is a tough spot for Benjamin Shalawi. He's got five-handed king queen. Got to believe he's going to be opening. He's got to expect pressure from David or Armin. That's kind of the problem when you open and get resistance. You start thinking, oh, are they just messing with me because it's so obvious? But in this particular scenario, David's got a real hand.
Yeah, you kind of convince yourself, don't you, Jeff? You're like, oh, I think he's just messing me because he's the chip leader. Okay, in this case, he's just going to flat. That seems reasonable, I guess, Jeff. For that reason, exactly right. Ben's not going to be opening light under the gun with David and Armin behind, so David shows a little respect. Just going to throw in the call, and hey, he's got tens in position. Why not? See you guys, a lot of you in the chat looking for that password. Welcome. Shame you didn't catch us at the start because we had bust outs galore on the first orbit of this final table. But the password is at the top of the screen there. You can see it. We love Jeff. We most certainly do. Get involved. We're giving out an Irish Open opener seat for the winner of the free roll. And we have another €500 in prize money to pay out the remaining places. So certainly worth getting in the mix. Costs nothing. Head on over to Party Poker. And of course, guys, we'll be giving away our usual tickets at the top of every hour. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning one of those, all you have to do is follow us right here on Twitch, and we will give out 10 tickets each hour worth $11 a pop. As Ben fires out a little C-bet here, Jeff, 8-9 deuce, couple of clubs, has 2 overs, has a club. Just figures he can just knock out some ace highs perhaps that David might have that haven't connected, and some other hands that might end up bluffing him, but picks up some equity, Jeff, with the gut shot, albeit David now has top set. Yeah,
everyone's got something here, and Ben, tricky, deciding does he want to keep his stack preservation, or does he want to put pressure here and shell it off on some? And this is a tough spot. Everyone's going to like their hand. He does decide to slow down, and David just hits the absolute money card, but he was already in great shape. Going to find himself with a set, only having to fade a gut shot. He doesn't know that. Let's see what he does on sizing. He's certainly going to be betting here, and I think he has a few options. Pretty wet board, though, right? When you have the top set, your opponent could easily have the flush draw, could easily have Jack X, and he is going to go on the larger sizing.
Yeah, really big 45 3/4 sets up sets up like 75% on the river. I guess sizing that Ben's not to continue against. Like you say, Jeff, he's just hoping he's up against potentially an overpair. Some Jack X certainly wants to continue. Some of those flush draws even. Man, David just running away with it at the moment, Jeff.
He's having himself a day. Running hot, getting there, getting hands, getting the right situations, and he gets another solid hand. And Gustavo in the small blind with a very sensitive stack. He's got a playable hand, chip leader opening up, but it is 9 high, and he does just get out of the way. He knows there's too many. The negative scenarios outweigh the positive, and he gives it up. And David just going to add to his stack, separate himself as the chip leader at the moment.
Yeah, like you say, Jeff, you can see Gustavo just probably wanted to play that hand, but this David Lopez has been going pretty crazy. We saw him rip the 9-6. You see him, we just saw him win that pot there with top set, but the guys don't know he had top set. It just looks like he's going hard on everyone. He's thinking, maybe I just want to sit this one out, let these guys battle away. Gustavo now with 2 queens on the button. Now this is a hand he might gamble with, Jeff, given the opportunity.
Yeah, David definitely, he's in position here in terms of with the chips. He's out of position in the hand, but he's definitely looking at King 9 and decides it's a good enough hand to defend. Could even put a 3-bet in, but decides to flat. And Gustavo has to love that with the Queen of Diamonds and no overcard to the board. Pretty safe spot for Gustavo. And David does have a diamond and some back doors, so could get a little bit interesting. Definitely could do a variety of things here. So I'm sure with that size, he's going to at least peel.
Yeah, as you say, all sorts of permutations down these streets. Bet less than third.
Definitely could flick in a check raise, although in this particular spot, Gustavo would just, fist pump, be able to get this in. I mean, there's some merit to flatting getting tricky, but at the same time, I don't think you really want to mess around too much. The board's super wet, and you got a great flop for your hand, so probably just going to get it going. But we did see Gustavo flat jacks. Does go for the call, so Gustavo playing tricky, and it's going to backfire.
Wow. I like the call. I mean, with the shortest, we do want to play. We've seen David go kind of crazy so far. I get it. He's just been desperately unlucky here, Jeff, and it's going to be tough. I mean, it's an overcard. An overcard's never good, obviously, when you've got an overpair, but this is like a pretty good card, right? How does our opponent have a king here? We're thinking they've got some straight draw combos, some flush draw combos. We're not expecting to see too much King X. This is going to be tough for Gustavo on the river because we're certainly not folding yet. Like you say though, did get away from those jacks, Jeff, pretty cheap. This one going to be a lot harder. Okay, that's obviously a good card in the sense that he now loses to a lot of hands, and it may even see. I mean, David, I guess, still has to kind of go small here, Jeff, but does he even? I mean, you're worried about some of those draws yourself.
Super interesting hand. Quite a run out. I mean, Queens blocks some stuff and it has a pure diamond. But now I think he's just going to be happy to just check after his trap went from a trap to, just hoping to get out of dodge. But he's going to be very unhappy, but also kind of happy not to go broke. But man, what a run out this was. And man, he's
wow. I was about to say, is he going to try and bluff this? This is such a great hand to bluff with, Jeff. But do you think you need to bluff when you got 2 queens here? I mean, you beat so much, but he obviously thinks maybe they can fold 2 pair. I think he's going to fold, Jeff.
Incredible. This is incredible all around because you can tell Gustavo's obviously playing the game. He's flatting, he's trapping, he's getting saucy. And I don't think that's for value. It's just kind of a crazy hand. I would love to get. I'd love Pads. Where's Pads? Can we call him? Is anyone watching? I'd love to see what Pads would do on that spot because that was a high level hand. That was exciting.
Well, I liked it, but at the same time, like David had a 9 blocking 8-9. He had the King of Diamonds blocking quite a few of the flushes. So he did have a contender to call off with, but at the same time, and what do you think Gustavo's got? He's raised pre, bet called flop, called turn, and now wants to shove river. Do you really think he's turning like a 10 into a bluff? I mean, I didn't think he'd turn queens into a bluff, so I can completely understand David folding despite the fact he had a theoretically good hand to call with. This is great stuff already, Jeff. We've seen.
This is exciting. I knew this would be good. I knew this was gonna be a fun one, but this is definitely cool. We've seen some great hands. We've seen some bad beats. We've seen a straight flush, and we're seeing some players play at a high level. So this is definitely exciting.
Yeah, Gus there just bossing it straight away. Like, not many players, Jeff, are gonna turn the queens into a bluff there.
Do you think he was bluffing though? Because he's not getting 8-9 to fold. He's not getting a flush to fold. The opponent doesn't really think. He's thinking your opponent has a king.
I think he's just trying to get maybe a hand like Jack 10, or 10-7, or some weird 2-pair combo. I think 10-7 is the most likely, something like that to fold. But maybe even the hand like the one David had, the rag King of Diamonds. I don't know, man. That was a weird one. But yeah, I mean, he's obviously just taken, hey, look, I've got queens blocking the straight. I've got the queen of diamonds. I can have flushes. I can maybe make David hero fold something here.
Maybe maybe it's a merge. I love that word. Maybe it was a merge. Maybe he just thought, you know what, I might have the best hand. I might be valuing, but it's a good spot to put him to the test. So we see David here stick on. Huge pot, 100 million chip pot, and gonna have chip leader implications here. Ace-4 suited misses. Clubs miss. A lot of stuff misses. Could have the best hand as well already, but Armin probably realizing he likely doesn't have the best hand other than a flush draw, and too much on the line though, and decides to check back. He does have showdown value with ace high there, so he does check it back. But David L gonna extend his lead.
Yeah, certainly does. Armin giving it up, and very much the divide remains the same. Gus, Ben, and Duff all with between 30 and 40 blinds. Armin a little shorter than Dave, but does have that all-important position on our chip leader, who is, well, let's see, Jeff, how comfortable he's feeling. He's got the queen 4 suit on the button. He's just getting raised up. Saw him rip the 9-6 from the small, run down the aces. Now he's going to give this one up. Armin the same with this 8-5 off. Man, these guys are going hard.
This is a big one though. I mean, big jumps coming up, and as we mentioned, you see that prize pool 76,000 for first and second, the same. But this is the knockout. So when they do go heads up, you play for double what your bounty shows and double what theirs is. So it ends up being generally about double what you're seeing first place. So this is a 6-figure score first place, no doubt about it. 500 buy-in, quite an opportunity, quite a big swing here, and I would imagine some of these names we're not quite as familiar with. Been some high-level play, but this is going to be it's hard to get 6-figure scores. They don't come very often, especially when you're in for a $500 buy-in. So, really exciting day, really big opportunity for the players here, and let's see who's going to get it done.
Yeah, I was just looking as well, Jeff. I saw Gus has actually had some pretty decent results in some of these WPT onlines we've done in the last year. He won 1K 6 max WPT online back in the summer, and I had a deep run in the 10K WPT Championship. I say deep run, he came 70th, but out of 1,000 players in the 10K with first prizes 1.7 million, I'm calling that deep, man. That's a sweat. Here he is, kind of proving some stuff with those 2 queens. There's Armin. It's going over pot, Jeff, with the 8 blocker. That's it, right. I can have a straight. I'm going to put pressure on you. Have some of this. Man, these guys are in a hurry.
I love it.
So, Jeff, you like these bounty events, right? You have a lot of fun. You said, obviously, I've just sort of just started playing them more recently, but man, it's a fun. Whoa! Duff finds the call on the turn and is not going to get rewarded. Armin binking the gut shot on the end. Yikes.
Yeah, that's quite. I mean, listen, Jungleman said it best, bet your gutters. And Armin does that, capitalizes. Now, Diamond does come in. It's a pretty interesting card, but he does make his hand. If you're bluffing with 8 high, gut shot and you hit it, you got to think you're going to go for a bet. Now, I thought maybe he would shove, but I guess the shove doesn't make a ton of sense, and maybe even decides he could bet and find out where he's at. So actually, I like that. That makes a lot of sense, that sizing there, to probably just get called. And if you get shoved on, you could maybe realize you don't have the best hand. Pretty unlikely Duff's going to go for a bluff there.
Yeah, it's only, I think with an 8, you may have to still call, but certainly going to want to bet some hands smaller, aren't you, Jeff? A little block bet now and again. So you're repping a lot of strength by overbetting turn anyway. They're going to pop the ace-10 under the gun. Blind's gone up 2.5, 5. Blinds, guys, at the start of today, 16 minutes, but I think now we've reached this level, or perhaps the next, they go to 24 minutes. I think it's at this level, they go to 24-minute levels. But hey, I mean, who needs levels, Jeff? We can keep the blinds at this level the way these guys are playing. They'll battle it out. We don't need to put them under any pressure. They're fighting hard.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those things where if the players, there's no one stalling here. These guys are going for it. They're firing and going for the title. No question about it. We've seen some great plays and some aggressive maneuvers, and man, poker's fun right now. I'll just say it's fun. I was having a chat today with Dominic Nietzsche about the game and where it's at, and it just shows you there's just so much there's so much work, so many different things going on, and there's poker's just popular right now. There's a lot of different styles. There's the limp style, there's limp raising, there are limper 3x, which Dominic Nietzsche implements. Then there's like the over bets, and you've seen like Adamo who won that party 100K and been playing such a high level, and it's just fun, right? Because like you and I play differently, you at home probably play differently, these guys are playing differently, and there's not an automatic answer. It's like even you and I can guess, and a lot of times we're going to see people go with an alternate route, or there's not one way to play, and it's great. Poker seems to be at an all-time high right now with the guarantees, the live as well. Can't wait for Party Poker to get back. Hopefully the Bahamas. I think that in my mind, I don't have any inside info, but I would think that like November, hopefully for the Caribbean would be back. But I don't know, James. What are you thinking? And if you have any inside info, don't say anything. But what's your guess?
I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful that we're back at the Bahama for the CPP. Like we're just to see, man. It's gonna be a weird year for live poker. Obviously, weird year for the rest of the world. Things are gonna start getting back in play. Certain events are gonna be able to happen, but obviously, Jeff, we're gonna have a lot of different operators and tours competing for a very condensed time frame this year. Everyone wants to get events going, right? It's gonna be interesting, but hopefully, yeah. I think I'm with you, Jeff. The CPP, I mean, it's one of the best events of the year in the world of poker. I mean, everyone who's been there raves about it. Obviously, probably the best event that Party Poker Live are going to do is the CPP at Bahama. So I'm hopeful that one's going ahead, my man. I'm looking forward to getting back there. Above anything else, Jeff, that's we can leave the other events. Just get me back to the Bahamas in November. That's where I want to be at.
It's kind of amazing how it all shook out, because the Bahamas at the Atlantis for so many years, and that was sort of like a automatic stop. People start their year, and that was the thing. And then all of a sudden, like stars kind of just that thing came to an end, and all of a sudden, Party had already picked up there. So there's really no even dead time in the Bahamas. It was sort of like a new better, if you will, venue, up to date, closer to the airport. So many positives, and Party doing so many great things. So yeah, right away into a Bahamas stop. If you haven't been down there, I highly recommend it. It's super nice venue, and yeah, great event. Hopefully in November, as we said. We'll see when that's can be confirmed or not. But it's still a lot going on in the world. Hard to say what's going on then. And here's a pretty classic matchup. We got button, big blind, king queen off, ace jack off. Everyone's got a little something, but there's a shove, and man, this is one of those spots where it's such a brilliant shove, and this you can see it puts a hand so strong as ace jack into the hurt box here.
Yeah, I don't think he can call, Jeff, with covering Duff sub 20, covering Gus. I mean, obviously you could call in theory if you give Armin enough hands, but how many hands are you going to give him? And there we go, he does make the fold, and completely reasonable to do so. Wow, Armin's just happy like David. They're gonna take names, man. They're going hard. And now Ben, next hand, dealt with 2 jacks. But yeah, Jeff, I would hope with some of these live events, you guys know watching, what's key to the party poker method and the ethos of the big events is a huge amount of satellites. So I mean, Jeff, these kind of decisions, they have to be taken pretty soon, man. We want to have CPP in November. You need a long time to run enough satellites to get everyone in. So I mean, hopefully we'll get some ideas in the next couple of months, really, what the schedule might look like for the rest of the year. But not much me and Jeff can say at the moment on that. But in the meantime, yes. Jeff, we've got the online stuff, right? We've got, like I say, Party Poker Irish Open online coming up. That's our next big event right here. We'll have loads more through the year, no doubt. So Ben does pop up these 2 jacks. David calling in position with 5-6 of clubs, Jeff. And look at this. Flops middle pair, gut shot, backdoor, flush draw. Go.
Yeah, it sort of seems like David's day, I gotta say. I mean, if I had to ask me to pick someone, he's hitting boards, he's getting there, he's playing well, he's playing post flop, and here he is in position with the absolute smash of a flop. And if you're Ben, you gotta like it. You don't probably have too many spots where you think you're in too bad a shape here. I mean, I guess there is some 6-7 suited. If he's flatting 5-6 suited, of course there's some sets, but overall Jack's got to feel pretty good, and we do see a check here. So Ben likely gonna start putting some chips in. Now there's possible flush draws, and you got to feel good about your hand when your opponent checks.
Yeah, it makes sense. Ben's obviously decided to check this flop because David's going to try and bluff it a reasonable amount. Ben's not supposed to hit 7-6-3 too much when he's opening into those two players behind him. David, though, with his pair gut shot and backdoor flush draw, happy to check it back, and now faces the overbet when he picks up an additional gut shot. Of course, Jeff, 8 or 4 now gets him there. Certainly good enough, even just with the 6 at this point, to be calling this bet after the check on the flop from Ben. Expect just a call here.
It's super interesting spot. So he does go for the call. We see a 10 and an interesting block bet being executed here.
It's an interesting one, Jeff, because a lot of the hands that David calls with on the turn have potentially made 2-pair or made the straight. Seems like quite a weird spot to bet.
For the particular hand, it's super interesting too. But we do see David make the right decision, and high level. I'm really enjoying these lines so far. There's been some very interesting spots, and seems like some high level thinking going on these players. So also probably a lot of experience. You know, they played. This is a multi-day event. 2-3 tables left. These players have been playing with each other. There's now hole cards up. They're watching a bit, so there's some information and players maybe doing some exploits at this point. But we're definitely enjoying it, and we've seen a bunch of action so far. And we got Queen 8 suited here for Duff. David opening, and he is our shortest stack. His risk premium is the lowest, but besides not quite good enough to jam and doesn't really want to get into flatting Queen 8 out of position versus the chip leader, so he gives it up.
Yeah, seems pretty reasonable. I like it. I like Jeff. I like your words. The risk premium. I like it.
Got that from I do a little training
stack.
courses still. I try to stay up on it. You know, that was try to keep up with the terminology. You know.
No, I like it. I like it.
It's not like Pad's hand of the day. You know, he drops stuff. Also, if you keep it, if you watch some stuff, you know, you pick up some fun terms. But risk premium sounds serious. But really, all that means is his risk of going out is the lowest. When your risk premium's low, if he goes out right now, it's not the end of the world, right? He's got no one even in double. If he doubles, he's basically where Gustavo is. So if he were to get out right now, it's not the end of the world. Now, if Benjamin calls off with Ace Jack, his risk premium was not the lowest, and that would be a semi-disaster to go out in 5th when he was in 3rd and calling off. So, you know, that's a good recognition from Armin. He had a nice hand to do it with. You know, it's not like he was getting 2 out of line. He did have King Queen off, pretty powerful and standard spot. But yeah, I think everyone's pretty aware of what's going on and what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, Sonny looks at Duff deciding to effectively rip this one. Actually, Bizardi went like 50, leaving 30 back in case there's 2 jams behind, but I think probably better going the other way, like 30, leaving 50, but it's the right idea. Guys, looking for the password, I see some of you. It's top of the screen there. We love Jeff. Head on over to Party Poker. You need to click the restricted tab. You find the tournament. Use that password to enter. Of course, you'll need a real money Party Poker account, and we're giving away an Irish Open online opener seat worth 530 euros and another 500 euros in cash given out to the remaining places in that one. So please do join us. It starts in just under 40 minutes, and there's an hour of late regiment. And of course, we do allow rebuys in these free rolls, so be careful. You know, these free rolls, Jeff, they can bite you. You know, we're 1 euro rebuys, but you got to be in the mix. First goes definitely free. After that, you got to start spinning up. Get some min cashes for a fraction of your buying, Jeff. It's what happened to me the other week in that one. I couldn't help it. I need the rebuys.
No, for sure. Yeah, gotta rebuy. Have some fun. Free rolls are good. You got Benjamin Chalot with the button. Jack 8 off, decides to give it up. Not a very attractive spot to come in light versus the two big stacks, but he does have the puck. Jack 8 decides to fold, and then here we go. David versus Armin, and David haven't really seen him shy away from any pots. 10-4 off, not a fun one, but he does go for the call.
Yeah, and I guess, Jeff, it's hard, isn't it, for Armin to really ever get 2 out of line against him, so I guess he assumes he's going to see the flop slightly more often than he should, so maybe 10-4 just edges into a call, but let's see if Armin wants to do anything with a 7-5. He doesn't. Happy to check that one back. 9-9 deuce, couple of diamonds. David actually way the best at this one with 10 of diamonds and 10 high. Does elect to just bet 1 blind and will surely take this one down. But there may be some interesting spots between those two guys. for sure. Armin in position with a slightly shorter stack, but so deep. Say blind's getting a little longer now to 24-minute levels. Man, this would be a fun one to get in. Jeff, I mean, I have to confess, you know, I'm not too sharp on these bounty situations. I guess that as you get towards the end, I mean, obviously winning the tournament is so important, right, with those bounties. Like, actually taking first place is got to be worth so much that I guess there comes a point where we don't really worry too much about the sort of traditional ladder spots. And I don't think we're there yet, but maybe three-handed, do you kind of have to play a bit more for the win than you would in a usual tournament? Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good thinking. And there's some courses now. There's some of these coaching sites, they have programs. I'd be very curious to hear Ike or Pads and some of these guys too to really go in. I wonder how many. Now it's interesting. Do you think, James, we will see on Party Poker stops, on Tritons, on some bigger buy-in stuff? Do you think the knockouts? Like I was like, what about the Triton million making it a knockout? Like that would, imagine how fun that would be. Don't you like think? But seriously, think about it. Like you could probably get the field up to like 1.5x because like if you're playing a 500 or a 1 mil buy-in and you know you're going to get like a quarter of your buy-in back, a decent percentage of the time or even half, like it's kind of cool and it makes it super fun. Like especially at that level, you know, if you could throw in like you know 100K or 250K bounty, like I mean, can you think of anything more exciting than a £1 million knockout? Like I mean, come on, I don't know. I can't. Maybe PLO, make it a PLO knockout 1 mil.
The PLO 1 mil knockout. Jeff's dropping it on here. Yeah. Come back to live poker with a bang. Let's sort this out. Well, I'm with you. I think between Trite and a party event, obviously we see these progressive knockouts. Online, it's very easy to do. The computer just goes bang. You're worth this. You're worth this. Live, we're going to need a little bit of advancement in technology because you need to see what everyone's worth. But we're not far away from that, Jeff. Think of all the things that have come into poker over the last few years, like the likes of the shot clock and time banks and this kind of stuff. It's not that unreasonable. We can't have a centralized system running through like the shot clock pads that show like bounties and stuff. I think it's doable, man. I think that'll be the next big thing that comes in is this kind of big live progressive knockout. It's going to be difficult, but someone's going to do it, Jeff. I'd like to bet on Party being the ones who do it because the players are going to love it, right? How cool is that going to be playing this kind of event live? You just see the number of runners we get. You get more entries, man.
Yeah.
And like you say, if you're wondering about taking a shot, you say people will be more likely to pony up the million. I'm with you because you got a decent chance of getting at least some return. It effectively lowers the buy-ins. And we saw that in the summer with the WPT Knockout Championship. It was a 3K, Jeff. And if you remember, we had Daniel Smith, not the American one, but the Irish one, who he won a seat. He won a 3K seat, and he was like, "Which event do I choose? I'll plot for the 3K knockout because hey, if I knock someone out, I get like 750 back, right? Like, I get a reasonable chance of winning some money." Ends up winning $400,000 and beating Manigloza heads up for a WPT title. That's the beauty.
Yep.
So much fun. Gus?
It makes a ton of sense. I mean, it's great. It's just great. I think the point is the logistics, especially the progressive. How do you do it with progressive knockout and figuring the way out? But
Gus ends up folding there with the flop top pair. Duff overbet jamming turn with the gut shot on over. Gus laying it down. Wow. All right. Some stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
A lot happening.
Yeah.
Just happy to be here. These are one of those ones that just seem. I feel like I love this. Every time I come in, just they're either it's like great events, like the 500 knockout, 100K. I'd say in my fun factor, that's about equivalent. The 500K WPT $1 million prize pool or the 100K. They're both fun. They're both exciting, and this is definitely we're getting a treat so far today. You never know what you're going to get, how people are going to play, but there's no one's just knitting it up, pay jumping here. At least from what I've seen, we've seen some high level stuff, and everyone's got a hand here. Interesting spot.
Yeah.
Based on how
good.
Wow. There we go. I was just saying, based on who that is not what I thought either we would do, even though I love it. 21 blind rip outlay on David with the suited ace though. Can't think he has the best hand.
No.
And the knockout is probably not enough to relinquish the chip lead.
I kind of like this from Gus. He's just kind of looking at David opening so many hands, King 10 suited. Like you always say, Jeff, the old risk premium was lowest, shortest stack. Decided to say, like, I'm just going to rip this from the small. If he's got it, he's got it. But you can peel that hand, Jeff, from the small. It's obviously strong enough, plays quite well, but it kind of gets a little awkward. And then you've got Ben coming in from the big blind. Just decides to rip it in. Like you say, yeah, man, this final table so far today we've only been online for less than an hour, Jeff, and it's just been non-stop. Seen 3 bust outs, a multitude of interesting hands, and you guys watch it,
said it best. You know, that's if you, in order to live, you must be willing to die. And King 10 suited, one of those ones that is just it's just going to get through a lot, and when it doesn't, you're going to be in okay shape a lot. And you know, it's just tough when you're in a 500 1 mil prize pool and you get down to the end, and then you know how you bust with like a King 10 20 blind shove, but all the times it works, or you double, you know, it's worth a lot. But you know, man, Gustavo also could be capitalizing on, we see the jacks flat, maybe the people have been watching a bit. He's gonna get a little more bit of credit right now, that he looks like he's playing post flop and playing really solid, and then you know, he just shifts gears and puts it in with the king high taxi, if you will. So nice hand there from Gustavo.
I'm just bowled over. I was loving the Amir Vahidi reference. Man, that guy. That was like the moneymaker year, right? He was, I think, on the final table of the World Series.
Yep.
Those guys. That's what I remember. Amir Vahidi.
Yeah, that was. Nice. He had a nice segment. That was a nice the clip that always stood out with me. Rest in peace to him. I know he passed away some years ago, but that was a very memorable coverage. There's something nostalgic about that. You know, the 2003 World Series of Poker, moneymaker, the characters, the live, like that was kind of like when we're all getting into poker, at least from our generation, and just some great memories and the excitement. You know, as being a rounder and grinding and just kind of embarking on the poker journey as ESPN picks up coverage, and you know, an amateur could win and that whole thing. That was really exciting. I don't know if it actually was Moneymaker's year or the next year. Maybe it was. I think you're right. I think he was Moneymaker's year, but look that up.
I see. That was the first year I was like really aware of it. I think it was the Moneymaker year. So I think that was the.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I didn't know they didn't always run the World Series in the summertime, which is what I just thought, because that's all I know. But I had Moneymaker on my podcast recently, and he said that was, I believe, in March, or it was in before the summer, and they didn't move that until later. And obviously, you know.
It used to be April and May, I think it always used to be in. Like just
okay, maybe
spring,
that's sometime. Yep. But this year, obviously, it looks like the World Series won't be in the summer, but it could be in the fall. So another, you know, could always change too. Maybe things.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying earlier, Jeff. You know, kind of never know where tournaments gonna have to fit in. Like, obviously, the World Series of Poker is always going to be the biggest event of the year. Like nothing's going to change that. So everyone's going to have to kind of move around it. If you have an event usually in maybe September, October, November time, and the World Series might be over the top of it, you got to move, Jeff. Right? You can't really compete with the World Series. I think there's going to have to be some. I feel like a lot of these operators, there's going to be a lot of common sense, right? There's going to be a lot of conversations between organizers behind the scenes. Everyone's professional. They all work together. They know each other. You know, people are going to talk. And I'm sure we're gonna get plenty of good events, and hopefully there's not too much clashing. But man, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we get back in there. And I want to be over there, Jeff. I want to play some World Series, man. That's my favorite. You know, I love the party events, but the World Series, it's what like you say, you and our generation, that and the WPT is what kind of got poker going, man. Like watching.
Well, you got your WPT title, so you might as well go grab a bracelet and have fun, catch up with people. It's also just a great socializing time, right? A lot of people, someone you know is at a final table. Usually, it's just the flow and the rhythm of it all makes a lot of sense, and it's just a good time. Definitely a good time. Before you get kids, man, I'm telling you, before you get kids and go down that route, James, you know, you gotta enjoy it. Like I actually have I went every summer for like 10 years, and then the last summer was COVID, and the year before was. My son was just born, so I didn't go the whole time, just went a little bit. So you just, you know, you got to appreciate it, because it's not always going to be the same. And who knows, maybe it'll be a PLO main event in a few, like 5 or 10 years. That'll be the new main event. But for now, it is what it is. And, you
Jeff's just pushing an agenda here, guys. I mean, I'm not against this agenda, but he's going hard with it. You hear this tonight, guys? He's asking for £1 million buy-in PLO tournaments. Now he's pushing for the World Series of Poker main event being PLO. I like it.
No, that's not true. £1 million PLO knockout event, or the $1 million short deck knockout. I think we got to throw some knockouts in, and they heard it here first, James. We can say when we see it on Triton and Party Poker, maybe they were thinking about it, but we got to put it out there that we're
they ripped us. I could see. That would not surprise me. Is a £1 million short deck, and that would be. I can definitely see that happening. Those guys, they love that short deck.
Yes.
I mean, that was getting a lot of traction before COVID, right? Short deck there was all the talk, all the big events for short deck. You and I just came from Sochi before the lockdown. We were covering some short deck events there for Party. It'd be interesting to see whether that momentum continues when poker kind of picks back up. My guess is it does, Jeff, in the high roller circuit. But I wonder if kind of the wider poker community is going to be as enthused with it as they were before. I kind of hope so.
Yeah,
I've still barely played it, Jeff. I've only played like a few hours of it myself, but I don't know if you've played any since then.
Yeah, not in a while, but I do. Yeah, it's fun. It's definitely a cool game, and it's got some traction. I could see it shooting up. I think we wouldn't be surprised, like you said, to see some new little iterations of it as well. Taking a look at that 2003 main event, 839 entries. Chris Moneymaker in his first ever tournament on the Hendon Mob just wins it for $2.5 million. Also at that final table, David Singer, David Gray, Young Pak, Amir Vahidi finished sixth, Homer Ben Vinisti, Jason Lester, Dan Harrington, of course, the legend, Sam Farha, Chris Moneymaker. I mean, a lot of iconic names in poker. And of course, I mean, look at Men Nguyen in 11, Dutch Boyd in 12, Freddie Deeb in 13, Marcel Luce 14th. I mean, just the who's who, Scotty Nguyen, Howard Letter there. And also, of course, Mr. Ivy, that famous ace on the river, ace queen to nines. Ace queen came through in a big way. I think that balances it out. If you don't remember that one, it was ace queen and nines. I think it went runner, or it was ace queen nine. The river was an ace. And
it came queen bit, doesn't it? And Phil Ivey peels with the two nines, spikes the nine against Moneymaker. They get it in, and then ace board just rips off on the river. And I mean, that just changed massively. Obviously, a huge pot with 10 left. And I was thinking, you mentioned Dan Harrington there, because Dan Harrington made the final the next year again, didn't he? He went back-to-back final tables in the main event, which was pretty incredible. Obviously, like you say, 839 that year, but I think the following year was massive filled. Filled was like doubling or tripling each year at that point. 2004, so 2,500 entries. Comes fourth in the Greg Raymer year. Wow, what a run that was. Back-to-back final tables. Mr. Harrington on Hold'em.
That's man. He was, it's funny. Dominic Nietzsche had him on today. He was saying that's who he learned. Like that was because I'm always interested what the great players who had great results early on, like in the mid 2000s and early 2009, 10, what they were doing, because there wasn't really this information we have in courses and programs and things. But he mentioned Dan Harrington. That was what he read, like the books he read. And I actually never read his, but I did the Theory of Poker. Mike Skolansky, that was kind of the book I went to. But so many people read Dan Harrington and what he did, and what his results were insane. Like he won the main, I think, final tabling the main numerous times, and really some unbelievable results.
Yeah, I meant the Harrington on Hold'em book, man. Those were the books. Yeah, it's so he won it. He won it in '95, third in 2003, fourth in 2004. It's pretty absurd. Yeah, those are the books, man. When they came out, that changed everything. And I remember he was the first person, and it's funny now because obviously everyone looks at it now, and people have got their randomizers and all this. And back then, in the mid 2000s, he's writing a book where he was like, right, I look at my watch, and if the second hand's in the bottom half of the face, then I might limp with my aces, and if it's the top there, all this kind of stuff. And he was doing that like 12 years before everyone else, Jeff. He was the first one to do that kind of stuff. Well, at least the first one to kind of put that in as strategy. Gus, going for a block here, Jeff, with the top pair. As thankfully players slowed a little here, guys. They were going a little too fast for my liking. start this final table, but the hands are starting to chill out a little bit. Yeah, actually, I see someone watch the future market going. Mark Newhouse, of course, did back-to-back final tables, didn't he, in the main event with huge fields, like 6,000-7,000 players apiece. I think, in fact, Jeff, didn't he come? He came ninth in both of them, I think. Is that right?
Impossible. It's actually impossible. He went back-to-back ninth. Yeah, pretty strong.
Yeah, because I remember, I think he made a great tweet on day one of the second one, where he says, "I'm not going to finish ninth again." He's like, main event, here we go. I'm not finishing ninth again. And then, sure enough, finished his ninth again.
Yeah, it's pretty, I don't know. That's hard. I'd take it. I would sign, right? If you asked me my main event, if I could sign right now and make it twice in ninth, I guess I would just take it. But I don't know. It's pretty special.
Yeah, 13 and 14 it was. There we go. Wow. 6,500 and 6,500 both of them, basically. Jakobsen and Ryan Reese years. Wow. Yeah, you take it, Jeff.
I wonder what the actual odds of that are. What are the odds are? Not just like final table, like going 9-9. It's got to be. It's like you couldn't even do it if you. I mean, obviously, even saying about trying, like it's just like what the heck?
Right.
I mean, that's that feeling when you get knocked out again in ninth has to just be pretty surreal. But yeah, taking two final tables in the main event in your lifetime, that's definitely going to be above average.
Yeah, and like the way things are now, you just hope to one day have the sweat, one day get in the mix like that. It's so hard to do. You just do it back to back. It's exciting stuff. I just want my sweat, Jeff. I've never had my sweat in the main event. You know, my when's it going to be? It might never be. You know, that's the thing of that event. You take one event, thousands of runners, you might never get your chance. But...
Yeah. Yep. What was that? I had that year actually. The year Merson won, it was pretty special because I went. The guy who finished third, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he knocked me out on a 3-outer. Merson knocked me out on a flip in the 10K, 6-max and won it, and then the 10K heads up, I got fifth in the I think it was I forget who won it. So I almost in the 3 10K events I played, I got knocked out by the winner, and third in the main. It was just kind of like
wow.
it was pretty salty. But I've never had a great run in the main either. That was like 223rd I got in the main. And that was my deepest run. You know, it was pretty deep, but not like the room collapsed and there's like 8 tables left.
Right.
And, you know, like Matt Waxman who gets top 50 every year, and some guys just go there and you know just seem to go super deep in it. But I haven't had that the room collapse yet. You know?
Yeah, the folding up the tables, the chips, everything echoes. They put it on the banners. Yeah, I'm not being close to that. One day, Jeff, I'll get my sweat.
Yeah, it's all good. Hopefully soon. You never know. It seems like though it's never too far removed. Like I don't know if you feel that way, but people who are at the final table generally now in the last like 5 or 10 years, I generally feel like I know someone pretty well, or even have a friend. I've had one sweat, like good sweat at the final table at the piece. But what about you in terms of swaps or any pieces? Have you ever had a good kicker there?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some friends deep. Obviously, like you say, you're always bound to have someone in the mix. But no, I had the closest I got was, let me check what year it was because I'll see they got very deep. But I swapped with Paul Cheese, and I remember I boarded the flight. I was getting ready to fly back to the UK at the end of the World Series, and I was actually sitting there in the airport. And he was still in the mix, and I'm trying to look now where he finished. So I think this is the one here. Yeah, it might be that same year, the Greg Merson year. I think. But I'm sitting there in the airport, and I'm like about to board the plane. I'm like, okay, he's still in here. He's doing well. And literally the last refresh I pressed before getting on the plane, there he was busting out in like 20th place in the main event, and I had like a little swap with him. I was like, man, that'd have been a nice one, but it wasn't to be. Other than that, no one's ever got close to me, man. I've not had the joy. Like, you just need a little 1% ball is good enough, isn't it? You get like the 100K for 1%. That's all you need. Like, I've never had a bar pool. I've never had the real sweat.
Yeah, Jacob Balsinger is the one. That's how he got third that year in 12. Knocked me out of standard spot like ace 3 to ace 2. Should have been probably a chop, but yeah, just heartbreaking to go out and when you get deep. And I don't know. The main event, there always feels like there's something you could do, right? Like it just feels like it's in your control. It's 2-hour levels. It's deep. You hear about guys coming back from 2 blinds and winning and stuff. So it's just like always feels like it's, you can kind of control your own destiny to some degree there.
Yeah, you're right. It does feel like it's the one time you feel like if you busted out, you must have done something wrong. Like they give you every opportunity. Like
it's genuinely sad when you bust. Like I'll never forget McLean Carr. It was one of my very close friends and one of my guys in my core group of guys. And you actually look like McLean a bit. Like you have the same kind of. You remind me of McLean also. Very very high energy. You guys fire hard and play a lot. And he just takes it really hard. And he lost. Like I was sharing a room with him one of the first years of the World Series. I remember like coming back and it was like 6 o'clock, a dinner break, and I came to the room and he was in there, the lights off in his bed, in a 12-pack on his chest. And it was just like one of the more depressing things I ever saw. And he was so upset. McLean's won millions of dollars. He's winning high rollers, doing whatever. But he was legit in there with like I had to talk to him, and he was in it. Just that's kind of how I always remember busting the main. Like it knocks the wind out of you. You don't know what to do, who to talk to. You go like I found myself pacing around or in the hallway, sitting outside, and like, oh, you don't understand. You don't understand like what happened or how, like, why did this happen. But anyway, yeah, the main event's a sad one to bust.
Yeah, I think it was Dora Brunson who used to say it's the worst day of the year. Every year is the day you get busted out, the main event. And I think that's pretty true. Gustavo here, Jeff, look at this. We might have a little action. Got the aces, popped it up. Dust peel from the big, flops gut shot, backdoor spades, a little over. This one's certainly not done yet for a third pot. I'm guessing that the stack depth the way it is just going to be a call. I'm playing 3 mil, 6 mil now, of course. Does look in the call and kind of bricks turn. Assume Gus is going to size up a little bit here, Jeff. Just set him up for a river shove.
Yeah.
30 plus. Anything around there seems to make sense. Okay, 39. Duff will give that up. Guys, I see some of you asking in the chat how you can win these tickets. Well, we give them out every hour at the top of the hour. They're $11 tickets. There's 10 of them. All you have to do is follow us right here on Twitch. So if you're watching someone else, come on over to Twitch, click follow on the channel. We're going to give out some of those tickets. All you have to do is click the follow. That's it. We're gonna chase you down if you're lucky enough to win. We're going to get you details. We're going to get the ticket paid to you on Party Poker. So of course, you will need a real money Party Poker account as well. And if you've got one of those, why not join us in the free roll, taking place in a little over 10 minutes over on Party. Password is We Love Jeff. You can find it, guys. It's the WPT500 free roll, giving away a €530 Irish Open seat and another €500 in cash. Man, Jeff, that's another one. I don't know if you played the Irish Open. Have you made it over for that one? Have you been over when that's on?
I have. Great event. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some fun, right? Like, that's some event.
Yes. No, it's that's definitely what great stop if you haven't gone. I actually went to the Cliffs of Moher and enjoyed it a lot over there in Ireland. It's cold. I think I went one time when it was February, but it was I enjoyed it. Beautiful place and just gotta go to Ireland one time if you're traveling the circuit. You gotta at least get over there and then probably make it a standard stop.
Look at this, Jeff. David getting frisky with a Jack-3 suited in position. In the cutoff, opening up. Armand flooding in position. The two big stacks out flopping our man. Both making top pair, Jeff. We could see the first little skirmish between these two chip leaders.
This is definitely one of those. The Jack-3 suited also kind of looks scary. It's got that wrap possibility. The backdoor club, backdoor. Anytime you got backdoor galore, it's always in play. There's a lot of cards that are going to make it even spicier than it is. And these guys are clearly in front. King Jack, kind of one of those spots where you just got to be thinking on the Jack 5-4 rainbow. You're pretty good. Go small. No need to go big. And David here, he's one of the problems with this, when you do open up, you get play, you hit a top pair, you're even sort of just guessing around, and pretty brick turn on. Not going to make super interesting, at least from the equity perspectives. But King Jack still, everyone wants to be cautious here. There's no real point to go nuts with just top pair, and you guys are number 1 and 2 securely.
Yeah, cool. First off, obviously ends up kind of counterfeiting Jeff. Finds that 3 too late. You see way up against it here. I see, guys. Yeah, those are asking in the chat about the ticket giveaways. Press follow. In terms of how we're going to know you're on party, we're going to contact you through Twitch. So just press that follow button, and if you're lucky enough to win one of those tickets, we'll be in contact with you, and we'll get them paid to you on party. So you haven't got to worry about linking your account or anything like that, any other steps. Just simply press follow. Just looking to get you guys on here, man. We've got so much good content on this channel, not just these streams, of course, but we have loads of the challenges, especially those daily legend challenges that I know some of you have been very much enjoying watching. Look at this, Jeff. I love it. David going for the kind of block with top pair on the river. Armin realizing that, hey, King Jack's got to be good here. Going to take him upstairs, and this is a tough spot for David, man. You block the kind of hands that are going to do this. You've got a jack. Check called. Win, check.
Yeah, high level. I think, these are something I think I'm guilty of too, in spots like this where I may, a player puts a bet like this, King Jack, you're like realizing you should be good almost all the time there, but you're like, oh, what if you hit this, or, but that's where you're just being in tune to the game and realizing with that sizing what David likely has, and that you just have a value hand there. So, nice spot going to extract some value. As it turns out, he doesn't get called. David ends up making a nice fold with top pair, and he also doesn't go to showdown. But now Armin is in the lead here. He has got the chip lead and position on David. So Armin in a really good position at this final table all of a sudden.
Yeah, and it has that seat, like you say. Yeah, now reclaims the lead of David, who was just off to a flyer at the start of this final table. First kind of a bad thing that's happened to him, really. Up on the button, Ben in the big Jack 3 suit. That's the hand. The hand of the moment, Jeff. He's going to peel and completely missed this one. The second pair and the diamond. Yeah, certainly we couldn't keep up that pace, Jeff. We started out with 3 knockouts at the start of the final table. Things settle down a little. We definitely have these 2 bigger stacks, 3 shorter stacks. Lines are beginning to creep up. We're at 3-6 at the moment. I think we go 3.5-7 next. No missing levels here for WPT500. We have stretched it out to 24-minute levels, which I think it's nice, Jeff. They play the day 1, day 2, 16-minute levels. Roughly around when the final table starts, we can switch to 24 and give them some more play when the money's really big. 7-5's asking why we can't see the bounties. Just the way the replayer is, unfortunately, guys. We can't see the bounties, but I can tell you that at the moment, David Lopez is worth 13 grand if you knock him out. Armin's worth 5, and then Ben, Duff, and Gustavo are worth between 2,800 and 3,500. So not too much separating those 3, but I will give you guys that information kind of as these pots develop. If we get some interesting spots, I'll try and throw it out there, and we can try and work out whether things are value or not. Because Jeff, I mean, I'm still very much in my empathy of these bounty tournaments. So you got the kind of intuitive idea of, okay, well, if it's close, I should probably call against to knock people out, and if it's but I don't know the finer details. And my guess is, I mean, Patrick Lennon said last week that kind of guess is that a lot of people don't really know. Everyone's still trying to kind of figure it out. It's so intricate, these positions.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's funny to hear Dominique. I'm just referencing him. He was on my podcast earlier today, and obviously he's got 18 million earnings, one of the best players in the world. and just talking about how many mistakes he sees in ICM with the world's best, and I mean for himself too, saying he's learning and doing stuff. So there's a lot of room to improve, and a lot of different styles you'll see, and that's why again poker's so fun, so beautiful. You know, there's always the GTO, which the book might say is right, but then there's exploits, and then there's little nuances that can cause you to flat versus 3-bet, and why you should or shouldn't. And you know, some people are just feeling extra frisky on the day, so you just never know, and that's why it's so fun. It's a perfect combination of luck and skill, and as we know it, one of the greatest games there is poker. And we're glad you guys are here. Let us know where you're from, watching. Over 4,000 on the Twitch chat right now, fired up to see who's going to take home 6 figures in a WPT500 title. We are having a good time, and we've seen some very fast-paced action. We're down to 5. Things have slowed a bit, but that was the par for the course after some eliminations and the stacks getting a little bit deeper.
Yeah, that was a violent start, guys. That was insane. The opening we had, things matching it a little deeper. Yeah, but nice to see where they're from, Jeff. Let's see what's going on. People all around the world. It's a global game, isn't it? It's a game that needs no translation, needs nothing. Everyone knows what's going on in poker. These two going at it again. David and Armin in a limp pop, but both with a gut shot. Checks through the flop. David improves to a double gut shot now. 619 will do the job. Guys, we have that free roll going off in 5 minutes. We're coming up to our first break. My last chance to warn you about it. Please do head on over to Party Poker. Password is We Love Jeff. It is, of course, the WPT500 free roll. Irish opener seat, and 500 euros in cash being given away as the river runs out of break. Armin called here, Jeff, with that gut shot, and his queen high is going to be good. Let's see if David lets him see the showdown, or is he going to follow up the turn bet with another bet here?
I like to see a bet. He doesn't have any spades. You know, his opponent could have a spades draw or something, and just, you know, jack high, not the best hand. So nice bet here from David, and goes for it, and realizing he's not going to win with jack high. So great play, high level. Yeah,
and he does win the pot, and Jeff, and kind of a key one for the parity of the tournament between those two big stacks. All right, guys. Myself and Jeff are heading off on our first break evening. Please press the follow button, because on the flip side of the break, we're giving away those tickets. If you haven't pressed follow, you can't win a ticket. All right, we'll see you in 5 minutes. All right, guys, welcome back to this, the WPT 500 knockout final table. Still myself and my main man, Jeff Gross, joining me for this one. As Jeff, we saw a fast start, man, but things have slowed a little. These guys have they're playing for some big money. 5 left.
Yes, it is. It's ICM, all the above. It comes into play. I think people are realizing now the pay jumps. It's a little different. We saw 8, 7, 6. Not saying they're not big, but the scope, the strength of it is different. Now we get down to 5, and you see the real. Talking about 500 buy-ins, so it's big jumps between 5th, 4th to 3rd, and then up into 2nd. Of course, first going to be roughly double what you see, so it should be around 150 grand roughly to first, maybe a little bit more. Depends how the bounties shake out, but yeah, a lot to play for. And these guys all can taste it. They realize, we saw the ace jack fold from Ben when he got shoved on by Armin with the king queen, realizing that one hand can make the difference, and a double could put you in contention to win it. So really not a lot separating even the chip leaders in the sort of second group here.
And Jeff, first hand back, look at this. Ben opening ace-9, flops top pair against Armin in the big, who's flopped top 2. We may see a very significant pop for a while right here. I guess it all kind of depends how fast Armin plays it, right, Jeff? I mean, does he want to go for a check raise on an a7-6 rainbow, or does he play this slow, do you reckon?
I mean, let's see what hands there are. Draws like the 8-9, 8-5, 4-5. So it's just kind of one of those things when you have to decide if you're Armin, what do you think your opponent has? Does he just have air? Does he ever just have a queen jack or something like that? But what is it? What do you continue shelling? So I think when you weigh all the possibilities, check raising makes more sense. You hope your opponent does have the ace, and maybe even just, I think logically it makes sense, but you could definitely call. I could see going either way. I just kind of felt like check raise makes sense in this scenario, realizing too that he can put some pressure on with some semi bluffs that is going to put Ben in a tough spot. And this is a really tough spot as well when you have ace-9 here. So he does go ahead and call. 4 peels off.
Right. And like you're saying, obviously, calling here with the ace-9, he has to call at least once, but the 9 kind of works against, right? We want Armin to have 5-9. You want him to have 8-9 sometimes. Obviously, 5-8's just got there in this instance. 3-5's even got there. If you had like 3-5 of hearts, maybe Armin bluffs with that, just gets there. Now Armin just goes for the shove of just a shade over pot. And Ben, again, I guess, I mean, there are some hands we can beat here. They could, like the 8-9, 9-10 of diamonds, these kind of hands. 9-5 with diamonds, perhaps. There are some hands. This isn't straightforward.
Also could
fold.
have 4-5,
I think he's going to fold, Jeff. But yeah.
Folds. I wasn't sure. I just really don't know. I guess it just, man, it's such a great bet. And the reason that Armin's capable, we saw him jam the king queen earlier, which was, again, kind of standard, but also a nice spot. Like, it's a really tough spot. I like the fold, but man, I wouldn't have blamed him for calling there.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, gets away from it. That, like you were saying, Jeff, the money bubbles, man. He's 3rd in chips. He's still ahead of Gus, still ahead of Duff, in position against those 2 as well. So it's kind of a good spot to go. As we just see the blinds go up as well, which is relevant because, hey, if you're Ben, you want to be sat there with a good hand behind those 2 shoving. As we get down to below 20 bigs, that's more likely. And Armin, again, Jeff, this is, I guess, something we see more in these bounty tournaments, the open rip for 20 effective blind on blind, because you obviously just want to win the blinds, but if you don't, you will have a shot of knocking someone out, right? We saw Armin do it with the 8-9 suited, make the straight flush. Does it here with ace-7 off. Tries to get it through and does. Guys, the free roll is off and running. Please do head on over to Party Poker. The password's top of the screen there. It is We Love Jeff. It is a WPT 500 free roll. We're giving away that Irish Open opener seat and another 500 euros in cash. So please do check it out. Look at this, Jeff. Here we go. Armin with the chip lead. He's going to start playing some games with David.
Yeah, this is a great seat for Armin as they're 1 and 2, and this is nice. We've seen a lot of flatting, and we've seen now a little bit of a light bluff here, and just absolutely great spot. So nicely done, and gonna pick it up.
Yeah,
496 separates himself, 500 to 400, so a decent lead. And if we look at Ben, Gustavo, and Duff, they really are all tied in here.
Yeah, it's massive as well. Being to the left of David with that chip stack, as opposed to before when David had it and had Armin on his left. Slightly concerned now. Armin really just gets to have some fun. Of course, this one with Ace King, a little too easy almost. And guys, of course, at the top of the hour, every hour we do those giveaways. I do have the winners of those tickets, and I'll tell you, when we get a break in play here for a second, when there's a hand not going on, I'll relay it to you. We have done that draw. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, well, just press follow right here on Twitch. Every hour we give away 10 of those $11 tickets. All you have to do is follow us on Twitch. For the check back, Jeff. On the 895, we know that favors the big blind, right? So it makes sense to check back. Ace of spades as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's still kind of a interesting one here. This is kind of a tricky dynamic because Armin's in a tough spot here. Does he want to just play bully because of the ICM? Also, just has a lot of showdown value with Ace King being the best hand, so has a little bit of a decision. Does decide to just check back, and Ben's got to love that, right? Because he's got a very vulnerable hand. Not something he doesn't want to just stick on there with the 5. I don't know. I could see going either way there from Armin, but ultimately Ace King just beats a lot of hands. I think that was sort of his rationale, that he was just okay to check it down. Now, on this particular run out, I think the news sets in that Armin may realize that his opponent might have a little bit of showdown value.
Right.
And kind of a tricky one. Kind of tricky here to think what to do. Let's just check, and Ben's going to be ecstatic to see that.
Yeah, big pickup for him. Very big. Any pot at this point, worthy. See you guys in the chat. Some of you busting out the free roll already. Come on, we can get this going. We're posting our brags actually. Pardon that. We're posting our chip stacks. So on here, guys, the free roll is off and running on party. We have 1,375 players in there at the moment. You've got till the end of the hour to get in that one. Password on screen. I said I was going to give some of these tickets away. Let me just tell you guys, the first 5 winners, there are 10 of you who have won this hour. First 5 are, I'm sure this hand's going to get through, it is HSND Ban 100 gram Whitrom, Scaramouche 24, Star Ladder Promo, and Jura and Delima. Those 5 are the first winners, and I'm pretty sure, I've got a feeling, I'm going to post those names in the chat for you guys now, so you can read them rather than me mangle the pronunciation. I'm pretty sure Star Ladder Promo, you won one a couple of weeks ago, I think. I'm going out there, Jeff. I think that's a pretty good bink if you've won 2. There's a fair amount of followers on this channel, but I've got a feeling that name has got home again.
Multiple. Yeah, it always amazes me in giveaways, like 100, 200 plus, that I'll sometimes do stuff and I see people win multiple times. It's just like, sometimes I wonder if they have a hack or like a code or some kind of thing I don't know about, or if they're just that lucky, because it's just like, it always blows my mind. Like it almost like aggravates me a bit, but then I realized, oh, you know what, that's okay. It's okay to be, I'm just like, man, how could someone really win a giveaway with this many people twice? But it happens. People win tournaments multiple times. People are on heaters. People are on giveaway heaters. You want to spread the love, but you got to respect the grind and the people that are putting the time in and engaging in the activities. So, it's ultimately, I'm happy for everyone, but it's nice to spread it around, right? You want to see everyone get their share.
Yeah, but man, I'm loving that. If you can run that good in giveaways, good luck to you. All right, the other 5 are Gio Junior 86, Flavio 1985-26, Rique Santos 490, G Guyton Kid, and Frankie Shan. You 5 have also won. Names are going in the chat right now. If you just heard your name, guys, you have won tickets. Someone will be in contact with you through Twitch, so don't panic. Don't worry about what you got to do. We'll be in touch with you. Simple as that. But you do need a Real Money Party Poker account. So if you haven't got one and you just heard your name, then you should probably go ahead and make one, otherwise we can't pay you those tickets. Jeff, Ben's going to open the queens here. Armin, are we going to see him 3-bet rip the ace jack? I mean, from what we've seen so far, that seems like the kind of way he likes to play. raise from Ben. It makes sense here, right? It's slightly over 20 deep. And he does, Jeff. Go for the rip. Ben's going to call with the 2 queens. We have our first all in for a 1. Armin spikes the ace on the flop. Runs out clean. Ben Charlotte out in 5th for, what, 22K. Yikes. And, of course, Armin picks up that bounty, which was worth, I believe, around 3,500. Yikes.
And just everyone, you got, if you're Duff and Gustavo, that's part of the equation, right? That's part of the process is being patient. You don't want to be the one at risk. And of course, with queens, too good a hand there to relinquish and just, you know, unlucky. But that's part of the game, right? It's math. Things happen. You know, you put your chips at risk. If you are covered, you are at the mercy of the run out. And sure enough, the ace jack does knock out queens, and we're down to 4.
Wow.
Yeah, we saw him fold the ace jack, where I'm going to put him in an ICM cage with king queen off, and then, you know, this time get a little better hand, and also better hand for Jalot. It just didn't pan out, but great performance, and getting again 5th place. He took home almost $28,000, or maybe actually a little over that, with 6,600 in bounties. And as the big stacks get bigger, the bounties get bigger for the big stacks. And I'm trying to see out of Duff and Gustavo. Now they have a roughly similar bounty, I believe, on their heads. So, you know, around $5,000, 10 buy-ins, which is still pretty significant.
Yeah, they're about the same. Obviously, David with a lot. Armin just would have popped up a fair amount there. I think, yeah, so add things to look. Yeah, Armin's up to just under 7,000. The 2 short sets about 2,800 apiece, and David about just under 13,000 his bounty's worth at this moment with 4 left. But of course, 32K locked up as well, Jeff. Everyone now guaranteed $32,000. But like you say, man, that first place is misleading. 76K. It's going to be a lot more than that. All those bounties to go in there. I see some of the chat asking, can you still register the free roll? You most certainly can, my friend. Head on over to Party Poker, WPT500 free roll. Passwords at the top. We love Jeff because we most certainly do. Get in the mix. As yikes, we got some cards here, Jeff. We see how Armin plays. It's King Queen offsuit from the big blind. We're going to see Duff open, Ace King suited here. Gustavo, Ace 4 suited on the button. Jeff, he could do some stuff.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely one. And actually, if you think about it, it's one of those spots too where if you were, oh well, that's he just went for the effective shove. So
yeah,
interesting though. Armin with King Queen for 130. What's that? 9? It's a bit much, but for the 5K, got a commanding chip lead. I don't know. I mean, you start talking about bounty hunting and risking, and he still would be the chip leader, but I don't think he's gonna want to. I don't know. I mean, actually, this is pretty close for the 5K.
Right. The bounty is what makes it interesting, isn't it, Jeff? In a normal tournament, we'd be looking at this going, okay, your King-Queen offsuit is just a little too weak. You've got to get away from this. But with the bounty, things get a little bit more complex. Yeah, I'm glad he still folds. I think we've still got to fold, but it's certainly a lot closer than it might appear in a regular tournament.
Yeah, really close. Be curious on that one, actually. But I think, also he just got his blood flowing. Ace Jack off the queens. Got there once. Start figures probably don't have the best hand. So it's like, do I want to gamble? Hopefully he's got a pair. Going to be dominated sometimes. And, he's just kind of enjoying life as the massive chip leader. Again, you're going to get to really leverage stacks here against the 2 short stacks, where also they do actually have, I mean, this is a big jump too. So we're talking 16, almost $17,000 in a jump, which is 34 buy-ins. It's a lot for Duff and Gustavo, so a lot to consider.
Yeah, Duff just going to jam over Armin's limp with this King Jack suited. Interesting. That King Jack suited, sometimes Jeff may see some players just go for the raise call, or sometimes, you know, it's the check back. You want to keep in hands like Armin had, Jack 7 offsuit, but decides just the rifle in on Armin. But I mean, Armin's raised a few times from the small we've seen, so maybe just deciding, hey, look, this guy's potentially not balanced enough. I think he's just going to fold a lot. I pick up so much. I want to keep myself ahead against Gus. I don't want to potentially bust post flop by checking back. Now Armin popping it up with the 3-4 offsuit, Jeff. The chip leader just gets to have some fun. Put it on these short stacks.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Armin's game. I thought he's played phenomenally well. Of course, it does help, and some seems to feel that way sometimes, right? When you're playing well and you just get a little extra luck, right? The ace jack, all of a sudden he finds himself ace jack to queens, gets a member's bounce, but you know, all in all, just thought he's played phenomenal, and no doubt that he's chipped up. You saw the jack 10 off 3-bet. He's re-raised with the king jack on the jack high on the paired board. Just kind of really seems to know where he's at, know what's going on, have a plan for every scenario, and just seems in tune to the game. So I like what he's doing, and he's got the best seat right now. He's got a field day on these two stacks on his left that are short, and then David with the next very vulnerable stack right now, right? David doesn't want to get involved with Armin, and he's gonna have to tighten up his opens a bit.
Yeah, it's king 3 getting punished, but yeah, I'm with you. I mean, why not? Let's just keep opening until they stop you, right? You know, Gus and Duff are gonna have to play fairly snug. Gus is, well, Duff more so now, like you say, just wins that pot, so now is that much further ahead of Gus. You know, the risk premium, Jeff, and well, maybe Gus is going to rip this, and what we're looking at 15, 16 blinds, and the king queen offsuit here is a different prospect than it was a second ago for 20 blinds against the cutoff raise. Against the button for 15, 16, this may well be okay. He's gone for the min raise, so I imagine we're going to see. Well, we're going to see something from Armin, right? We're certainly not going to see a fold.
It's going to be a shove. He did this last time for more chips. He's got the chip leads. This is the perfect scenario to rip it and get a lot of folds. And again, against a pair, he'd be happy to run it. So, I mean, he's going to tee this one up, I think. And then I'm wrong. So, you know, it's hard. It's hard to be. I'm a bit shocked on that. But I guess at the same time, him and Duff don't have the exact same stack. But I just think it's a good one of those. I'd be surprised if that's not just the best play there. But what do you think? A little surprised.
Well, I was kind of surprised that Gus didn't just rip the 2 5s in the first place, Jeff, from the button. It seems like a weird hand. You know, you kind of expect when people open jam this kind of stack size that a hand like 5s fits into that range quite nicely. Maybe the fact he didn't rip kind of confused Armin a little bit. He was like, okay, this guy's probably a little bit more polarized, so maybe I just want to flat with king queen. If I hit my hand, I'm probably good, and I avoid doing it in when I'm crushed, but I don't know. Yeah, both plays have surprised me a little bit here. We've ended up with a situation where Gus is going to bet a third pot on the turn. I thought it was going to be a rip pre, Jeff, and a call from Armin in the big. That's what I thought was going to happen in this hand. But he check calls king high on the turn. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know whether he thinks Gus has a kind of one of those playable hands, right? Like a Jack 10 or Queen 10, something like this, that decides to min raise rather than jam button, and he thinks maybe somehow King Queen is still good here, but probably rules out most of the ace highs. Jeff, those are pretty likely to jam button.
Yeah.
And maybe a little confused to see the 2 5s at the showdown, but that's what he's going to see, and he loses the pot.
Yeah, well, interesting. I love it. I'm really enjoying. This has been a very enjoyable final table. It's been a lot of everything. We've seen some get theres. We've seen some pressure. We've seen some overbets. Seen some big folds. Some nice calls. Like it's really giving us a bit of everything.
Yeah, most certainly has. There's David popping up the button ace queen Duff with deuce 5 clubs in the big. Just gonna give it up, Jeff. Deuce 5 suited, maybe in some other situations might call there, but he does have a few more chips than Gus. And just looking to outlast at the moment.
yeah, good
Guys.
spot here again. Stacks, just one of those hands to put pressure on. Ace-5 suited. Gonna get more folds than usual, but 30%, but every hand but aces. Doesn't mind if somehow someone wakes up there.
Yeah, and these two are going to fold some better hands for sure. Outlasting each other 20 bigs deep. I like that, man. Armin's, it feels like he's like a little bit more, I don't know whether this is a knockout Jeff or what, but Armin feels like he's almost a little bit more our kind of original era online poker, man. You just get the chip lead, you get good hands on the button, you just start ripping into these short stacks. Like, it's how we used to do it. Like, I'm enjoying watching it. And here he is coming in with the 5-3 suited. So just put pressure on when you got the chip lead, man. You get to play all the hands. Just gonna play the 8-9 suited from the small. My feeling is not, and then David with deuce 3 suited from the big. He is deep, but you don't really want to be giving up too much to Armin. Yeah, he does fold. I like it, and there you go. Gets one through with 5-3 suited. Love to see it. Guys, head on over to Party Poker. The free roll is off and running. WPT500 free roll. The password is, of course, We Love Jeff. We're giving away that Irish Open opener seat to the winner, and we have another €500 in cash to give out. So please do get in the mix. I'm in there. I'm scrapping around, Jeff. I'm not making any ground up at the moment. Who knows? We'll spin up incoming.
You're in there. You're multitasking, huh? What's your what's the current amount of people in there? What's happening? How are you doing? You feeling good, or you're kind of?
Man, I've got them where I want them. Man, we've got 1,500 entries so far. I'm doing alright. I've got 85k. You start with 100. I'm just chilling. Blind's just gone up to 501k. I'm getting them figured out, Jeff. You know, I'm learning their tendencies. I can't quite get chips together as quickly as Ike did last week. Musky Moo in the chat asking for tickets. Man, we're giving tickets away as well, but it's just down to chance, I'm afraid. You just got to click follow on this Twitch channel, and you're in with a chance of winning one of those tickets every single hour. We give out 10 of them. Money for nothing, Jeff. You know, we get to watch these guys battle it out. WPT500, big title on the line, and you get to watch it for free, and we're going to pay you to watch. I mean, ultimately, you've got these free rolls.
I love it. I love all that. It's hard to beat that combination. One nice final table to sweat, whole cards up, and then you get a little play on the side, and you got nothing risking there. It's a pretty good scenario. So win-win scenarios. That's what's it about here. Party Poker TV, making things happen, and we're getting to see some high-level stuff. So you may not know these aren't necessarily household names, at least from what I know, but they are playing a very, very strong brand of poker so far. I really like what I've seen. Who do you think gets it done, James? At this point, it's hard to bet against Armin, but you think anyone can kind of pull it out? If someone gets a double, do you like their shot? Like anyone you're pulling for?
I mean, yeah, it was kind of before we came on. I was sort of mentioning, obviously, Armin Razai, kind of one of the better known, perhaps, maybe for us Europeans at least, players on this funnel. But then I was very impressed early on with Gus. He's made some moves, but all these guys, I mean, like Charette's obviously got a pretty decent resume. But man, you got to kind of pump for the guy with the chips at this point, especially the way he's playing. He's been pretty ruthless since he got this lead. But who knows, man? I mean, I want to see a little bit more from Gus, because he got away from those jacks earlier, where I think you and I, Jeff, both would have been out by now, right? If we had those 2 jacks, we'd be gone. He found a way to keep him in here, and he made that great bluff with the queens on the river, where he turned his flopped over pair queens into a bluff on the river against David, and that was pretty ballsy. Like, it's not a move you see too often.
Yeah, I would like to talk with someone at a high level on that hand. That was maybe the hand
right,
of the final table. Very interesting.
Right, you're even of the opinion that, you know, there are some combinations of hands you might be up against that you're not even bluffing against, because you could potentially get called by some worse there, right? You're not 100% sold on that one yet.
Yeah, no, I think it was the merge, right? That's a rare word that works. I think he just merged it. It merged it in, and it's hard. I love a good merge, but a final table merge is extra special. There's not many people that go for like creative kind of, you know, mergy plays, if you will, or spots like that at a final table where a lot of times you're just content. You're like, all right, I got queens, you know, I might just have the best hand likely, and shoving there is pretty cool to have the nut blockers. Very, very key cards in case his opponent. The problem is the king. Like the thing about the king is just so unlikely. I think that the opponent has a king, and that's like ultimately the hand
right.
trying to bluff like a weak king. And how does he have a king? He like check raised, and then the king flew off on that board. So I don't know. But,
yeah, because the hand was it was like the 10-7x, king, jack, and like your opponent can have you can potentially make them fold a hand like 10-7, but if they've got like ace 10 with the ace of diamonds blocking the straight getting there, blocking the nut flush, that's kind of the hand that maybe they end up calling with. It's weird, like you say. Yeah, it's a merge potentially. There was a fun one if you went with us early. It was very early on, Gustavo and David, when David was just running right over the table, busting them out for fun. Ran the aces down right at the start of the final table with the 9-6 blind on blind.
Yeah,
obviously relinquished a little bit of that lead. Gus going to pop it up with ace 7 on the button.
Yeah, David L's been quiet. I mean, again, the stacks right now, he's kind of in a weird spot. You got the 2 short stacks. He wants to make sure those go out. At least one of them puts their chips at risk before he does. And he's deep enough to still play, but he's got to deal with the tough player here, Armin, with chips on his left. So he's just kind of, it's also just for the same reasons. Like they have jam stacks, Dove and Gustavo. So like when he's opening, he's got to deal with getting bluffed and worrying about Armin, or flatted and not being out of position in pot, or he's got to worry about just getting jammed on entirely. So the reasons make a lot of sense why he's just sort of, got to stand pat without a decent hand. He's gonna be less likely to come into these holdings that are marginal.
Yeah, for sure. And he does pick that one up, gets himself just ahead of Duff. And yeah, for those reasons, obviously Armin's kind of loving the spot even more. David's just getting a little bit close to those two. He knows he gets to put even more pressure on David now. I think Armin would almost like the blinds to maybe go up just that one more level, 4 mil oatmeal, put Gus and Duff in spots where it gets a lot harder to peel opens. Gus is going to try and get one through here with the ace check suited, and Duff in the big with 10 deuce suited. And here we go, Jeff Armin with the queen eight. Obviously, there's certainly going to be a raise with his stack size.
He's attacking the spot. And again, it doesn't have to jam. It's interesting, right? Those hands like ace 5 suited, queen 10, jack 10s, those are probably going to be jamming. And he's got some bluffs, and he's going to have his top of his range on the min raise. So we saw the 3-4 off. We see queen 8 off, kind of not one he just wants to rip in, but he's going to be picking up just takedowns a lot. And then he seems to have a nice strategy with a balanced mix and a plan on what he's doing with the proper hands. So I like how he's been executing that his range with the min raises for shoving so far. And of course, he's gonna min raise his worst hands and his biggest hands, and then he's gonna just rip sort of the middling hands. And it's not fun either if you're Gustavo and Duff. Similar spot, you don't really want to be calling off, right? You got to call super tight for that jump. It's a massive jump for the buy-in, 17,000 difference, putting your chips at risk. You get ace jack, ace 10 off. It's not super fun, but maybe you have to flick it in. But I think you'd be surprised at home if you plug that in and see how tight you're supposed to be calling in the spot. Pretty tight. You're gonna need want to have a pretty good hand there.
Yeah, certainly are. Now, Jeff, I understand that we're shortly going to lose you. Is that right? You've got you've had a busy day on the go. You've just got a new podcast in the books, as it were, and you'll be leaving us shortly, right?
Yeah, triple book today on stuff, and I had to come in though. I wanted to be a part of it. You guys even the We Love Jeff. It feels wrong to leave before this tournament ends. It doesn't, I'm sheepishly walking off here. But James, no one's gonna, not no one, but you, I know won't challenge my dedication. We've had some late nights and stayed from extra. That's doing the extracurricular. You get to leave early once in a while. So that's and I don't want to leave because this is actually really fun and I am sweating it. So I appreciate a lot of kind words in the chat and a lot of people watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And James, are you having someone else come in, or are you going to man this ship solo?
Yep. No, we have. I'm going to be solo for a few minutes, guys. So you guys watching, you have to deal with me for a minute. But we do have the man himself, Mr. Ike Haxton, prepping himself, Jeff, to fly in here. So he kind of rolls in here. He's not going to do 8-handed. The guy comes in for the business end. Like you say, Jeff, you're the man. You're not one. You're not one to usually leave during the middle of the stream. And that one in Rio will go down in the record books. We were there for a long time. You don't want to let people down, but we understand you've got stuff to do, and obviously there's a lot going on, man. But just for the chance of some viewers here maybe aren't too familiar with where they can find your podcast, I'm going to give you a little chance to plug that bad boy. So where should they be going to find it?
Yeah, Jeff Crow's podcast, all the audio outlets, and then on YouTube I do have that as well. I have one tomorrow and one on Thursday with some chess. I'm diving into chess, James. Poker, I haven't learned that completely, but chess seems like why not start a new crazy hobby. So I got Jen Shahadi tomorrow and then Anna Rudolph on Thursday. So that'll be fun. And why not, James? We only live once. We got to gamble while we're young. We got to learn new games. We got to take some shots. So I'm gonna try to get in the chess streets as well and mix it up. But yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. And it was always a pleasure, James. Crush it. And we'll see you soon at a live stop, Bahamas or before. I hope that's the plan in 2021. So cheers, man.
All right, my man, Jeff. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, always, guys. You've had a treat. We've had Jeff in the mix. Always good to have him in here. Very enthusiastic about all things poker. And that was kind of a fun one we just saw there. Armin flopping top pair against Duff, coming out with the check raise, really taking the legs out of Duff. Down to just over 10 blinds as Gus pops one up from under the gun on his big blind. And Duff Queen on offsuit. May decide this is good enough to have a little look. So the shorter you get, the more attractive these propositions become. Be a slight concern about Gus opening under the gun. Obviously, he knows Gus is going to be fairly strong here with the two big stacks behind. In theory, Gus should fold a lot of hands here because he knows Armin's going to jam a lot from the small, especially in a KO tournament. So it does continue, but it's going to continue cautiously. Sees his ace king 7 flop one that obviously hits Gus. He's going to fire Duff with just the queen of clubs. Hey, if he was a little deeper here, would potentially look to continue, but I think given everything I just said, is gonna have to give this one up. Guys, free roll's going off. 25 minutes left to late reg that bad boy. I'm in there. I'm doing pretty badly, guys. Come get my chips. We're fortunate enough to draw my table. I think I'm on the table with all the Russians. Obviously, we have the Latin American stream. We have the Russian language stream. And, I'm giving it away over there. Password is, of course, we love Jeff. Musky Mill, I'll try and keep hold of some of them for you, my man. David popping up ace-5 from the hijack. Has to be a little bit more cautious now opening with Armin having so many chips behind. As the blinds do creep up to 4 mil, 8 mil, Duff on the button. Well below 10 now. And here we go, Armin. Just makes it very hard for Gus to play any hands when he opens here because he knows Duff's going to be all in very, very soon. He also knows David can't get out of line, so even if David does continue playing hands, he's going to have to play a lot of them as just a call from the blinds. Gets another one through there for up to 700 mil. 1.3 in play, so comfortably over half the chips. And, well, this is going to be a shove from Duff, you would imagine, with the 9-10 suited. And Armin's going to look him up with this ace-4 of clubs from the big blind. Pretty close to 50-50. Duff will accept that when he's called. That's for sure. Duff's bounty is 2,700-ish. And, well, whilst the hand goes down, I believe Ike is ready to jump in. I said he's going to join us any second. I believe he's waiting here in the wings. So let's try and get Ike in. Ike, you're joining us. We're going to see an all-in. 9-10 suited versus ace-4.
Hello.
And, well, there it is. Ace on the flop. All but ends it. Duff Charette out in third. All right, Ike, my man. How we doing? You all good?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're here, man, because you can help us out with some of this bounty stuff, man. The dynamics are a little different in these events, aren't they?
Yeah. Fill me in on what the bounties are on each of these players.
Right. So, Duff's just busted was worth 2,700. So, I believe now David's worth 13,000. Gus is worth 2,800, and so Armin must be worth, I believe, around about 10,000, a little bit less.
Okay.
Well, we've got 50k now locked up for third.
Right. So yeah, I mean, at this point, what that means is this is basically a really top-heavy tournament, right? Because most of that bounty money is going to first place.
Yeah, so
maybe somebody busts somebody and then gets second, and that person is collecting half of the bounty of the person who busts in third. But at least everything beyond that, and potentially really all of the bounties at this point, are going to the person who wins the tournament. So it's effectively, very top heavy, going to play almost like a cash game at this point.
Wow, okay. So we just see a massive departure then from what we're used to seeing in tournaments when you got to this particular situation where
I think so.
You see David avoid things. But...
And in particular, David is going to be incentivized to gamble against Gus as well, because there is the possibility he collects that bounty and then gets third. But you said Gus's bounty is quite small, right?
Yes, Gus is definitely pretty small. He's 20.
Yeah, so that's actually not going to be that big of a factor. With the two bigger stacks having quite a bit in bounties and the third having so little, I think you're going to see this play a lot like a cash game or a winner-take-all tournament. Not quite, obviously, that there is some money to be made by advancing from third to second. I mean, particularly for Gus, who has such a small share of chips in play. He is certainly rooting for a confrontation between the other two players and an opportunity to ladder. But, relative to a normal tournament dynamic, the chip lead advantage here is not nearly so big. And
right, we saw it there, right? David limp raising from the small, much more willing to get that hand in, whereas I think if this was traditional tournament, would be much more cautious.
Ace, queen, I mean, nines is a pretty good hand for 35 odd big blinds, but
right. So you're saying that that might not.
You could see it limp call
example,
in a tournament,
right?
But
and well, here we go. Armin coming out with the 3-bet from the small with queen 9 suited.
Seems like a fine play. I think he's run into it here, and he's probably just going to get jammed on and have to fold. But yeah, I mean, that's certainly a good enough hand to play, and you could call or 3-bet, but 3-bet is a fine option.
Is it almost the case here, that the kind of the laddering kind of goes back more towards the shortest of the three stacks? Does Gus enjoy watching this a lot more in the fact that he knows he's probably not going to knock someone else out in this tournament, but if he gets up to second,
right,
it's quite a decent gain? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Gus is pretty interested in trying to get second in this tournament, whereas the other two are really playing for first, and the difference between second and third is not so great for them. So it does create a situation where Gus is more likely to be able to ladder here than he would be under other circumstances, because the other two players are competing for all that money that's in the bounties as well, and Gus has limited opportunity to win that money himself, and will be, a much larger share of Gus's potential EV here comes from managing to get second.
Yeah, it's just like it's a weird thing, right? And like it just becomes more likely, I guess, with David being kind of forced to gamble a little bit. As we see Armin peel the 7-8 from the big 6-6-10 flop, flops a gut shot draw. Gus with the ace as well. Might not be done with this one just yet. Like,
yeah, I don't think Armin is folding the flop. I think he could, depending on the bet size here, either call or raise. Pretty much regardless of the bet size, in fact, either call or raise is going to make sense, but certainly not fold.
Barely more than a blind into a 5 big blind pot. Armin in the tank. Does go for the check raise.
Yeah,
this is how Gus drew it up. Like,
I think he should probably just call there. Not the best turn for Armin. I think it would be very reasonable to just shut it down here.
Right, not the best, because Gus continues with some queens, right?
Gus continues with a lot of overcards, and that card is going to interact a little with some of the other hands Armin could be check raising, like 9-8 now picks up a double gutter, 9-7 at least blocks some of the gutters relative to 8-7. He can have a hand like Jack-9 or Queen-Jack or even King-9, all kinds of things that interact a little more than 8-7 with that turn card. I think it's a card where he's going to check a lot of his range because it's relatively good for the in-position player, and his hand is pretty bad even relative to the other things he could be bluffing with. So I don't think it's a bad play to bet the turn, but I would be giving up more often than I bet.
Well, he did fire a little stab for quarter pot and got punished. And I guess everything you were saying there makes sense for why then Gus is obviously going to just jam over on the turn, right? Because you think...
Yeah, it's a pretty dynamic turn card. Equity, right? Yeah, I think particularly he did not have the ace of the flush draw, right? So I think, especially given that, it makes a lot of sense to jam the turn a lot of the time. That open jam with ace-9 there, obviously, fine play. I think that is mostly what you're doing there, if not 100% of the time. Just, less than 25 big blinds, ace-9's a great hand to be all in with.
It certainly is, as Gus completes from this morning now with David in the big 3-4 offsuit. I enjoy this. I'm like some other people, watching this. Don't play a whole huge amount of these knockouts. When I have played them, I enjoy them, but naturally you don't get to play final tables too often. It's fun to watch how these things play out because there's clearly a big shift.
Yeah, knockouts are interesting. I think relative to normal tournaments, people are not as good at playing knockouts. I mean, myself included, for sure. I'm saying what I think here, but I'm not that confident that any of it is right. It's particularly hard to analyze. Ooh, that's going to be a problem for Gus. He's drawing dead here with a hand that looks pretty good. The ace is not such a big scare card here, because David is going to be raising pre-flop with quite a lot of his ace-x hands. So I think we're going to see Gus get stacked here quite often.
Yeah, bets half pot. David in position seems to flush draws out as well. So there's hands he wants to protect against, hands he wants to get value against, but also hands he can kind of represent, right? As this hand plays out, even if he just calls here, we can see some raises on the river that make sense as bluffs. May opt for some raises here.
Definitely. Yeah, I think
for a
that's
turn, right?
a good play. I think it makes sense to put in a raise immediately with this hand, at least some of the time. If he calls, he's leaving nearly double pot to play on the river, so... it's going to be relatively hard to get stacks in, especially if river is, you know, a club or a diamond or a 10 jack king, 3-4.
Wow.
Oh wow, Gus gets away from it immediately.
Great.
It's a nice fold.
Great. Yeah. I mean, slightly. We saw at the start of the final table, David was super active. Was in there smashing up, but kind of probably for the last hour or so has been a little snugger. So perhaps one presumes that Gus is kind of watching the stream, seeing David's been playing pretty fit or fold, and maybe just says, you know what, if he's bluffing me, good luck to him. He can have this one. Gets away from it. Nice fold.
Yeah.
Coming in here though with the ace queen. Yeah, guys, I know some in the chat you're loving this as well. I'm watching it, trying to work out exactly what goes on in these bounty events. And as Ike says, I remember Ike, you said last time you were on here, you said, you know, you're very honest with that. You're like, look, a lot of people don't really know completely yet. Like, there's the obvious thing of, well, okay, I've got to gamble a bit more because it's a bounty tournament, but no one, it's still up in the air, right? It's still really open. Like,
it's extremely up in the air. Yeah, as far as I know, there aren't really any software tools that are very good for analyzing this sort of thing, and especially at the highest stakes, bounty tournaments make up a very small amount of the volume that anybody plays. So, yeah, I think it's really a pretty wide open format at this point.
Ooh. Armin's popping up ace-9 diamonds here. Gus has ripped for sub 20
we're
from
gonna
the
see
small
a
ace-9
call
diamonds.
here.
Yeah, looks like it's more than strong enough. Does make the call. Flops safe, turns safe, bricks out on the river. Ike, just like that, we lose Gus out in third place.
Yep, I mean, pretty
up.
much just a cooler. It's...
yeah. Picking up.
You know, ace-9 and king-jack doesn't exactly seem like your classic cooler, but relative to the situation, they both just had good enough hands that the money's going in.
Yeah, Gus. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just what it is, right? Gus gets just under 50k in prize money and a little over 5k in bounties, but obviously now we know that the big money is between these two. We see obviously you're watching second place 76k, first place 76k, but we know it's a lot more at stake than that because of the bounties. Obviously, David did the early heavy lifting.
What, another roughly 40k in bounties?
Yes, that sounds pretty much bang on. I think, Ike.
Yeah.
I think you're right on that. 40k difference. So yeah, someone's leaving here with 6 figures for this $500 tournament.
And obviously now that it's heads up, the bounties are no longer really a consideration. Right. It's winner take all.
It's just pure poker, right?
Ordinary heads up match.
Yeah. Armin has been unstoppable. David off to that fast start, as I mentioned before, but Armin, mid-stage of this final table, has taken the lead and run with it. And these two have they're kind of one of the all-ins. Like, it's a good trick to have on a final table, you know. Just no sweats. You get it in, you knock them out.
Thing.
David stabbing at this one with the bottom pair. A little vulnerable, Ike, on this kind of board. Guess you see a little bit of both with this kind of hand?
I think so, yeah. I think with bottom pair in general, you're going to see a lot of both. I think with the ace and king kickers, you're going to see mainly betting, but probably not 100%. I think, yeah, well played hand.
Some of you guys are asking in the chat for the password. The password is We Love Jeff. You still have a few minutes to get involved in the WPT500 free roll. Like, we say we love Jeff. We should change the password, man. He just deserts us here. You know, Jeff was on here a little earlier. Get in the mix, guys. That free roll going off. We're giving off an Irish Open opener seat. Please do head over to Party Poker. You can find the free roll.
The cat has arrived.
Here we go. Little feline assistance. Armin, Jack 8 suited, does elect to continue. Here we go. Ike flops top pair.
I think that's easily a good enough hand to call the 3-bet.
And David is a little stuck here, out of position.
Yeah. Be interesting to see how this plays out. Going with the kind of automatic third pot continuation bet. I think that's a fine play, but checking is fine as well.
Right, I guess the argument, Ike, that the betting kind of makes the hand perhaps a little easier to play, kind of.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think it is a reasonable way of making your life easy to 3-bet a little bit tighter than optimal, and then pretty much always bet the flop, at least on boards that are not super unfavorable for you.
And, 7 of spades is a pretty good looking card for Arm. Picks up a flush draw to go with. That top pair has been checked over to him on this turn. Again, I hate saying it over and over again, but I guess
more attractive.
Yeah. Like, kind of a little bit of
because you're just super happy to call a shove here,
right?
Which would be a reasonable play from David's side. He has the ace of spades. He has 2 overs to the jack. Check jamming this hand is totally reasonable.
Right.
I think you're not really meant to fold there. I think ace king and ace queen, especially if you're playing a plan where you're almost always betting the flop, ace king and ace queen are just too good to check fold the turn there.
Right, I mean, on that, Jack 5-3, so we're thinking we're up against what's plenty of those kind of Broadway combos that don't include a jack. Is that what we're thinking, that some of them still stab turn?
Yeah, for third pot on the flop, I think virtually every backdoor flush draw is going to continue. If somehow you have maybe exactly queen 4 or something like that, you could fold, but backdoor flush draw and 2 overs to the 5, which is pretty much always going to mean some kind of backdoor straight draw as well. I don't really think you're ever folding those hands for third pot on the flop. So yeah, Armin should be unpaired quite a lot, and you have pretty good equity against top pair, at least compared to a lot of other hands you could have, especially the hands you could have that didn't bet again on the turn. So I think you're just meant to call, and then the river is gonna not be fun. And I think sometimes you have to call even if you don't improve. But
right. Yeah, there's certainly some grim spots form.
Yeah.
I mean, he managed to get away from it. But no, it's great. Yeah, I mean, I like everything.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up being a good play. He was in very bad shape. He had 5 outs, I guess, and a lot of ways for the river to go badly. He could, hit the king of spades and get stacked, or
it's just funny the way you say this, because in my mind I'm seeing like the Jack 5-3. I'm seeing my opponent calls a bet. Then once the bet turn, I'm thinking, well, there's not a lot I beat here, but purely because of the size of the c-bet on the flop, because of the 3-bet pot, like you say, all those backdoor flush draws are sticking in there. Suddenly, this board that looks like it's not too rich in potential bluffs is actually very rich in potential bluffs, just because of...
Yeah, I think you can just easily be against, like, Queen 8 of clubs there.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like, just... And
it's very unintuitive for people who haven't played a lot of heads up, because you very rarely play spots that are similar to heads up pots in a full ring game. Blind versus blind has certain similarities, but the pre-flop dynamics are very different. So you're still not really playing spots that are very much like a heads-up 3-bet pot. That's a pretty unique sort of situation that you need to have either played a lot or studied directly to really have a lot of familiarity with how those mechanics work.
Right. I mean, in that particular spot, I mean, obviously, in a heads-up spot, blind on blind, you're not 3-betting out of position like you are in a pure heads-up.
Exactly.
Which obviously is very unique. As well, I mean,
the only pots you're playing.
Spot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another one where he very reasonably could have called the river.
Yeah.
Or raised, for that matter. He did have the king of clubs.
Yeah. I guess the most similar spot then, like in this, is kind of like, I guess, what, small to button perhaps, or big to button. I don't know.
Probably big to button. Yeah. The button versus small blind. The small blind is 3-betting a much larger percentage of their continues relative to calling, and has kind of a more linear, condensed sort of range. Whereas button against big blind, they can call and close the action. So it's more analogous to heads up, and they have a sort of more polar 3-betting range. But it's still quite different because typically the button's opening like 40 or 50% of hands into 2 players. And at 50 big blinds deep, 60 big blinds deep here, the button is opening maybe 75% of hands and limping most of the rest if they're playing limps at all, or just opening 90% plus.
Right. Very, very few folds.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's a case of what
here
David
comes
elected to raise the 10-3 offsuit. There we go. Exactly as you say. Harmon with ace 8 in the big. That's just flat. King do 6.
Yeah, I think all the options are reasonable with ace-8 off there. All the options being call, small 3-bet, or just ripping it. Fold not being one of the reasonable options.
And the benefit of like 3-bet ripping for 40 bigs with a hand like ace 8, just
you don't get called by the Broadway hands. Mainly is you'd really rather just get the fold right away rather than get called and see a flop against Jack 10 suited.
Right.
I think probably if your opponent is limping as often as they should be, you are rarely to never shoving ace-8 off, but if they're playing more raises and fewer limps than you think is best, you might deviate and stick it in. Or it might be okay to stick it in some of the time, even optimally.
And obviously, if we're seeing like the 10-3 offsuit getting raised here, obviously that's becomes, I guess, a little
right.
bit more.
There's a good chance David is playing a button strategy here that involves raising a bit more than the computer would tell you to.
He's got himself in the spot where he's 10 high on the river, on unchanged board. Effectively unchanged board. Got a 3 blocker Ike, a little bit of excitement.
It's not the worst thing to have in your hand. I'd rather bluff with this than 10-7. I think this is basically a fine play. I'd usually use a bigger size if I bet here, but bet check bet. Very reasonable line with this hand.
Yeah, I like it. We don't see enough of the. I'm a big fan, Ike, of the bet check bet lines. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. That's a spot where a lot of people do not call enough.
Yeah. It seems just from doing so much commentary lately, like I just don't. I don't know. This is probably just like I've mentioned it once, so I feel like I'm looking for it, but you just don't see a lot of bluffs taking that line. I don't know. It seems like quite a generic thing to say, but I feel like it's an underutilized spot.
I think very broadly speaking, once a street checks through, players tend to put too little money in the pot from both sides. There's too little bluffing and too little calling. The small pots get neglected.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things to attack when I was mainly a heads-up no-limit player in the kind of prehistoric days before we had solvers, and we're just figuring things out with pen and paper and poker tracker frequencies. Finding people who folded way too much on the turn and river after check flop was that was an exciting find. That was somebody I wanted to play a lot, and that was a lot of my opponents.
Right. And, like, I guess part of it is just the psychology of like, okay, I'm done with this hand. Let's get on to the next one, and people just fighting over the big 3-bet pots, I guess.
Yeah, it's easy to feel like the big pots where money goes in pre-flop and on the flop, and you're looking at 30 BB in the middle on the turn, are the ones that matter. But the small pots really do add up, and finding a consistent leak that you can just pick away at in those, limp check, min bet, and they fold too much in that spot, like that really adds up in a heads-up match.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. Like you say, I mean, people obviously, if everyone's working on one side of that game as well, right? Everyone's looking at those. What am I supposed to do in these 30 big blind pots? What am I supposed to do in these 50 big blind pots? And kind of everyone knows what everyone's supposed to be doing those, and you're looking the other side and going, okay, well, what am I doing in this like 6 big blind pot where there's been one bet? Maybe this is where I can find a decent edge, and no one else is working on it. Then things may well work. Interesting hand potentially here. I say interesting, entertaining hand here. Ace-4 v Ace-4. We see a 3-bet from Armin. David with a hand.
I would generally call here. I don't think shoving is crazy, but I think calling is probably best.
10-7 deuce rainbow. David with backdoor diamonds. A texture like Armin's got to have a fraction of concern about with David peeling in position.
Yeah, that 10-7 part of the range is relatively favorable for the caller. The 3-better tends to have a lot more Broadway cards and a lot less 10 through 6. So, yeah, David's going to have more pairs and more gut shots on this board. And I do think some checking from Armin is reasonable.
So let's check once more on this queen turn. Guys, you've got just under 3 minutes left to register for the WPT500 free roll. Please, if you're not already in, jump on over to Party Poker. You'll find the tournament in the restricted tab. The password is We Love Jeff. Get involved. €500 Irish opener ticket up for grabs, and €500 in cash. The remaining finishers. That's your last chance, guys. That's the last warning I'm giving. Get on over. Get in there. Be quick. Someone's going to win that ticket.
Less entertainment than promised.
Yeah. I know. I get excited like when I see the same hand versus the same hand. It's always amusing.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of ways that could have gotten exciting.
I remember absolutely butchering one of those hands like on a televised final where I was like, I made I had 7s v 7s against someone. I've made like a horrendous bluff when they've like re-bluffed me on this vortex. The hand today looks so terrible. Okay, this is a 2011 hand. Okay, just in my defense, but it's just.
Oh, I played some really ugly looking hands in 2011.
Yeah, but we both got dealt 2 7s, and there's me check raising like a king queen board and getting 3-bet post flop and all sorts. It was bananas. Like, Armin with Queen 10. Checks this one back 7-4-3. King of clubs rolls off on the turn. Someone asking what we have to do in the chat in regards to the free roll. Well, you've got to be quick. That's what you've got to do. And you've got to head on over to Party Poker. You've got less than a minute. WPT500 free roll. Click reg. Password as we love Jeff. Best of luck. 500 euros seat. 500 euros in cash as well given out. As Armin does pick up another one.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonably played hand from both sides.
I see UK Lucifer saying get tired after playing 6 hours online tournament. Well, that's what's quite nice with these tournaments, Ike. Obviously, this is the third day of this event for a $500 online event. They play down, I believe, to around the money on the first day and then down to the final table the second day. It makes it a bit nicer, doesn't it, Ike? I mean, you must remember the days online tournaments that were big in nature would be potentially like 20 hours right in one shot.
Oh, yeah. I remember, and I played a lot of those from Europe as well, so I remember, like 2014 or so playing Scoop, and for a month my routine was to wake up around 9 p.m., play poker until around 11 a.m., go out for lunch, and then go to sleep.
It's pretty brutal. It's
I think that kind of schedule agrees with me more than most people, but yeah, not ideal. Not great for your health.
No. It was, yeah, I'm with. I remember doing those. You just never felt that good. Like I always I was jealous of anyone on the west coast of the United States or west coast of Canada. I was like, man, you guys got no idea how good you got it. Like,
yeah, for sure. After doing that for a few years and then going from Malta to Vancouver and going from starting my days at like 8 p.m. to 11 a.m., that's a big improvement.
Mm-hmm. But also, I mean, just forgetting the actual times is on, but just the time spent grinding is like brutal, those sessions. Whereas now, I think it's far more attractive. Playing it like this, just spread over 3 days.
Absolutely, I think the multi-day tournaments are a big improvement. There's a part of me that enjoys the sort of poker that really tests your stamina. I do think I'm better than average at that, and it's not bad for my bottom line to make my opponents play 20-hour tournaments, but it's not good for your health.
It's definitely not. I think this is much better as well for people who've obviously people who a lot of the players we won on these tournaments are going to be playing recreationally. They're going to have work to get to. They're going to not want to be playing the kind of hours you're mentioning. Like even if it's only 6 hours, it's much nicer if it's the right 6 hours of the day, so people can do that.
For sure, yeah.
Work, come back, play day 2.
Yeah, it's pretty great if you're in the right time zone. You can play these tournaments from like 6 p.m. to midnight for 3 days, and it doesn't even keep you from going to work.
Yeah. Guys, we did another giveaway. Of course, we do it at the top of every hour. All you have to do to win those tickets is follow us right here on Twitch. And I can tell you, well, I'll read out the first 5 of those winners as Armin gets this 3-bet in. I'm assuming he gets this one through, actually, Ike, but maybe David, Queen 9.
This is right on the fringe. I think, especially against that particularly large size, he should fold, but he should definitely call Queen 10, definitely fold Queen 8, and Queen 9's right there on the border.
Yeah, this one looks a little safer. So let me just tell you guys, those $11 tickets, they are going to Frankishian, Coffee Zombie, Furion 3333, Aiden Sully, Finley 90. Those are the first 5. And we have 5 more that I'll give away in a moment. So if you just heard your name, congratulations. Someone will contact you through Twitch to get your Party Poker account details and award you with one of those $11 tickets. A lot of fun. Money for nothing, guys. We've got the free roll, we've got the giveaways. I think I've made a mistake there, so I apologize to Frankashian because you were the last name. I thought it sounded too familiar. I think you were the last name with the last one. So if it's been sent to me, it's not my fault, Ike. I'm blaming someone else. I've been sent 11 winners. Frankashian, you won the last giveaway. You're not winning 2. That's what I'm going out with on a limb here. So apologies there, guys. That'll be some run good. But the other winners are Armiso 7. In Your Face Boy, B Hands, Itch 023, Daniel Soren 26, and BRN.
That's a pretty big
Soul.
shove.
Ooh, 27 blinds finding their way to the middle.
He has the right hand for it if he's going to do it with something, but I think it's a little bit too much to be doing it, even with that. Oh, this could be the end right here.
Wow. Kings versus King, Queen of Diamonds. We just saw jam a second ago. Armin opens up once more, 2.3x.
I think we almost always see a 3-bet either all in or not here. I think not all in is... Oh, well, yeah, that's going to do it.
We see a flat instead from David Flops, top 2. Armin with top set. Ike, bar a really scary run out here. This is surely it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you see David raise the flop here most of the time, and then probably just stick it in on most turns. He's playing this one very passive, and I guess if the river is an ace or a 10, or maybe even a 9, there's a chance of not getting stacked.
And Armin sizing here on the turn, obviously the jack's going to bring in a lot of extra equity for David's ranger, right? And a lot of more continues. So.
Yeah, I think you don't bet real big here. I think this size is about right, or maybe just slightly bigger. I think it's not a full pot sort of situation for the most part. Maybe occasionally, especially with top set, I would be playing it like this.
He goes 53 mil, leaves himself a pot size behind River club, but the non-connecting 6 of clubs.
It's interesting here where you have 2 kings and the king of clubs, and it's making it kind of hard to get called by a lot of worse hands. It wouldn't be crazy to try sizing down here, betting maybe half pot. But, I mean, mostly I think you just go all in.
Right, kind of you don't expect to really be beat, but at the same time there aren't crazy amount of hands.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable play here, actually.
And,
it's a really difficult hand to get called with.
Yeah, David does just cool, and somehow Ike is continuing this tournament. We saw
yep.
The hand was dealt out. You thought that was it. When the flop was dealt out, we were sure that was it. Somehow he's left himself with 10 blinds, although now rips it in with 10-4 suited. He's going to get snapped by the ace-jack, flops the pair, but Armin Razai turns a jack. Didn't need the spades, didn't need the gut shot. A pair of jacks is enough, and just like that, a couple of pretty crazy hands here. Armin Razai is the WPT 500 knockout champion, and I think he wins. Yeah, like you're saying, around 40,000 more in bounties.
Yeah, about 115-ish, maybe even 120.
Yeah, he's. Let me look at. I think he gets 60k in bounties on top of the 70-60 cash for. So there we go. Look at this. 139 is his total out of this tournament.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah, I was confused about how those bounties were being counted. Yeah.
Right. So they were playing for effectively 40k between them, but obviously they already had over 100 locked up with the bounties.
Right. They each had 25 in bounties locked up, roughly, and they were playing for another 40.
Yeah. Beautiful scenario as we see there. Of course, we saw Robert, Jordan, and Alexei all knocked out in super fast fashion. And we saw a 5-handed run for a while with Ben and Duff busting out. But eventually, Ike, Armin Razai is our winner. And I mean, you weren't with us for very long, Ike. You come in here, things
I was expecting it to be a little longer.
But yeah, it was a fun one. It was, well, Ike, as always, it was nice to have you on. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
A shame we didn't go into those dynamics more, because I think it'd be fascinating if we have another one of these kind of knockouts to do, Ike, because as you say, you confess yourself, you're not 100% sure on this stuff, and a lot of people aren't, but it'd be nice, I know, for the people watching to kind of delve into that a little bit more in the future. So hopefully we get another one like this and you can join us.
Yeah, I'd love to get in for a little longer on one.
All right, well, thanks, Ike. Thanks to Jeff. Thanks to all of you guys for watching. Me personally, be back next for the Irish Open Online. Please do head on over to Party Poker and give that a go. Chance of qualifying for what is always a fantastic event. But beside that, please do keep an eye tuned to this channel, because there's loads of fantastic content coming up with the daily legend challenges and whatnot going off. But guys, until next time, the best of luck, and we'll see you soon for the Irish Open.